followed NASCAR for a good while, and it's funny, you've got your 4 or 5 key drivers, and then everybody else. They had fan bases. Today, it seems like there's 12 or 15 drivers that have fan bases, but you don't have the 1 or 2.
You don't have that elite group.
Right.
It was Jeff, it was Dale, you had Rusty.
You better for the sport now?
I'll be honest, I don't even watch anymore. It is so neutered. They're driving cars with 500 horsepower. At the peak when I was running, we were at 875 horsepower with those things. And then they cut the nuts off of them. We went down to a 775 horsepower package, and I was miserable.
You ever get nervous?
In a car?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When your wife's driving, or?
Everybody was an elephant on memory. Remembered exactly how everybody raced each other. So it just was the etiquette, and you had Dale Sr. I mean, you held Dale up, you didn't have a choice. You were going to move because you either moved yourself and kept it in one piece, or you got moved and you might keep running, or you might back the thing in the fence. But if you backed it in the fence, the whole time you're sitting there taking your stuff off, you're thinking about, how did I get here? You figure that out pretty quick.
At what point in your Cup career did you start thinking, maybe there's something else? Maybe this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or maybe it's not what it used to be, or maybe there's something else after this, or maybe I just don't feel like doing this anymore. Obviously, it doesn't happen overnight. There's things that start.
Yeah, but there was a key moment.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, there was absolutely a key moment. And in
the woods of Talladega. So you're not as busy as you are on this race weekend.
Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah, I think we got different.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about motherfuckers
prison,
going to
strip
jail,
club.
dude.
I'm thinking strip club.
Oh, okay.
It's not what I'm talking
about. Welcome, everybody, back. Oil and Whiskey, another episode. This week we have none other than the man, the myth, the legend. Only driver in history to win an IndyCar championship and a NASCAR championship, but you won 3 NASCAR championships. Current NHRA top field drag driver, and you were 24 NHRA Rookie of the Year as well.
I was 24 Rookie of the Year and 25 regular season champion.
There's 100 plus other things to go through, but we want to get to the conversation. We got time. Let's keep going through. Tell me all the accolades. Let's get through.
Let's roll through them all, and then that'll be like, all right, well, thanks for listening.
Well, it's honestly absolutely a huge honor you come on. I'm a huge NASCAR fan, always have been. We talked about, I'm from Alabama, so I've been to a lot of Dega races, a lot of other races, and you've done so many different interviews, all different types. You've done a lot of podcasts. We want to try to do some things different. We want to try to ask some questions you have, but at the same time, we know that you're probably going to answer things that you've answered all over the place before.
It's okay.
So
I'm old. I've done this a while, but you do realize the best part of Talladega is not the 2.66 mile track.
It's the one across the street, the dirt one?
It's the quarter-mile dirt track across the street. That is the best part about Talladega.
We race go-karts there a lot and then would stay for the dirt track race. When all of you guys would come over there, that was the whole thing. You're like, you can be at the little Talladega, watch the dirt race, and it's all the NASCAR drivers over there fucking around too. It was a great time.
So do you know that not the go-kart track that's behind there now, but back in, like Kenny Schrader would say, back in 1900 shit, I was there. I was running a lay-down enduro go-kart at the big track on the road course.
My father-in-law did that. Lay down.
I did it 1 year.
Twin McCulloughs, I think, was it?
Ooh, that'd be fast.
Yeah.
I ran in the junior class.
Father-in-law's way older than him. Yeah.
But we took I was sponsored by Comet Kart Sales in Greenfield, Indiana, Mark Dismore. And we had our I don't remember, we were coming from a pavement race, a road course race somewhere. And it was just when we were just on the front edge of when guys that were running dirt were going away from knobby tires to the slicks. And we were sponsored by an Italian tire company, and their soft tire wasn't 100% ideal, but it was soft enough to run on dirt tracks. And found out they were racing across the street at night, so we ran the enduro during the day, then hauled ass across the street. And
no way.
My dad, I remember, called Dismore and asked him if we could run the pavement kart on it. And he's like, no way. We're running for a point championship on the road course stuff. And he goes, no, absolutely not. my dad, who has taught me the art of it's way easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, and I have perfected that art. By
That's
the way,
I've always operated.
it's a great
Served me
deal.
well.
Once you figure it out, it's a smooth sailing system here. But we went ahead and ran. The problem was we ran the big track, the big dirt track. We ran the full quarter-mile track.
Oh, wow.
We didn't run on. They didn't have a little go-kart track.
Okay.
So we ran on the banked quarter-mile track, which was badass. 'Cause
Yeah.
we were hammered down in it, but we were behind a guy, and he had a lead rail that was about probably 1 3/4, 2 inches thick, round, and that thing bounces off, falls off his car, bounces one time, and hits the front porch of the thing like this, and puts this big dent in it. And that's not like you're just going to put a suction cup on it and pop it back out. And man, I mean, I was a factory driver for a cart builder, you know, and I thought we were going to get fired from that deal when we got home. We didn't win or anything down there. We didn't even do anything spectacular in that race. We did better at the road course race at the big track, but I will never forget that day when we got back and Mark saw the front end of that go-kart, and that's the most nervous I ever saw my dad in my entire life to date. My dad just turned 88 years old, and that's the only time. My mom never even made him that nervous.
Wow.
But I saw that look on his face when he told Mark.
That was a big deal. Like you said, you're doing something you're not. Oh. My mother-in-law is a huge Tony Stewart fan. Huge fan, right? And my father-in-law, go-kart racing. I remember here, and still tells the stories. Birmingham, you had BIR, back in the day, and the stories about BIR was crazy. The Waltrips coming down and racing, wrecking, practice, and qualifying, drive them on the street down to a shop, fix them, come back out and race. That was some cool racing. But they also had in the mid-'80s, I think 85, 86, they had the downtown Birmingham, the Grand Prix, the go-kart race. There was the road course and stuff. I think Michael Waltrip was racing in that. He had to be 12, 13 or something, 14 like that. And him telling the stories and then talking the stories on the laydown carts, the twin-engine laydown enduros at the big track at Talladega. I remember first time him telling me this, I was probably 21 or 22. I'm like, no, not the big track.
Yeah.
He's like, no, the big track. And then showing pictures like, oh, wow. Think about a go-kart on the big track at Talladega laying down, a motor here and a motor here and looking.
It's literally like being on your couch.
It's like a luge, street luge.
And having the armrest on the end of the couch. That's what your head's propped up by, and you're looking down at your toes. That's what it was like to drive those. And like he said, the motor was literally right beside your head. So, two-stroke, you lean over to adjust the high speed on it. You reached over, you're holding on a butterfly steering when you reach over right here and grab the T-handle needle. And that's how you set the.
What, you running Yamahas?
Yeah,
KT100s.
Yeah. So, it was cool. We ran Daytona, Rockingham, Charlotte, Pocono, Talladega. I think that was all the cup tracks we ran. And then we ran Road America. I didn't run Road Atlanta. But they ran some really killer tracks.
That's nuts. Things. So go-kart, obviously, is how you got your start.
Yeah. Yeah, I started when I was 8.
What? Yard cart at 8, or you're like, no, I want to go racing go-kart today?
Yard cart at 5.
Okay.
So my dad and his best friend at the time went to some auction. Why, I don't know. 5 years old, don't care. Come back, and my dad's got this grin on his face. And I remember my mom walking outside, and I remember watching my mom come back inside, and the expressions were drastically different.
Dealing with that.
And my dad still had that smile on his face, and then his buddy comes in, and he's can't stop smiling because he knows the chaos that's going to ensue.
Yeah, he's plenty old enough.
With the parents more,
yeah.
Clash of the parents. And so over the course of the next 2 years, I destroyed my mother's backyard, and my dad didn't care. I didn't care. And by the time I was 8, she's like, you either get him a racing cart, but this thing's gone regardless. Get him a racing cart or we're done. And so I started racing when I was 8 with a 5-horse Briggs and started up the ladder.
Dirt track?
Raced till started in local dirt tracks in Columbus, or around Columbus, Indiana, and southern Indiana, and raced till I graduated high school. And then I got an opportunity to move up to the next step, which was a 3/4 midget that runs the old Honda 750, and then it spelled out 4.
Yes.
That's the motors that we ran in the TQs at the time, and so that was the next step after.
How early on in the go-kart deal when did you say to yourself, this is all I want to do? I just want to race. Or did you even think about it?
I don't think at the age of 8 you think of anything other than I can't wait to go to races Saturday night and race with my buddies, because we were buddies Sunday through Friday. Saturday we hated each other's guts.
You're racing.
But as soon as we got our trophies after Saturday night, no matter where we all finished, Saturday night after we got our trophies, what time you coming over tomorrow? And we would meet at somebody's house on our bikes, and that's what we did all day, was rode bikes all day Sunday and rode through the week. So that was our
you racing multiple classes, loading up weight and trying to race as many as you could? Or
back then we at first it was just the Briggs the first 2 years maybe, or a year. And then we added a second cart and ran a KT 100 Yamaha with a 600 thousandths restrictor. So I ran the Briggs class and then the 2-stroke class, and my buddies all did the same thing. Their dads did the same deal. So wreck with your buddy in one class and try to redeem yourself in the other one. If you wrecked with that same buddy in that class, the dads were talking at the end of the night.
2-stroke on dirt's just completely different than a Briggs.
Way more fun.
Yeah, way more fun. Just completely different.
Because you at least had power to pull yourself out of stuff. So.
Yeah, the Briggs was just like everybody got on a rope.
Yeah, it's more of a momentum game.
Yeah.
Right. No throttle response.
2-stroke was obviously overpowered for the track, but like you said, you had to drive. Yeah. What was
and they weren't set up like they are now. I mean, there wasn't, you don't have big offset carts and bodies and all that crap on them.
What was the secret sauce on the tire prep?
Nobody treated tires back then.
Really?
We ran treaded tires. Nobody treated tires with anything.
Wow.
Back then. At least not there. You cheaters down in Alabama brought that shit up north.
They're the ones soaking them in the kiddie pool out back.
Oh, man.
And then put their kids in it after they drained it out. So that'll be fine. We got it down to drain. It's
man, this is going to be a long one.
Exactly right.
This is going to be a fucking long one.
Glad we got somebody else to
Just think about all that fun you had in Talladega. At the big track, in the infield, across the street, all that was brought to you by Alabama.
There was one more thing close to the speedway that I got to visit and enjoy. So the guy that was my competition director during my IndyCar stint with Menard was Larry Curry. And for the record, I had nothing to do with any of this, but he, I think, did some money laundering with the company, with Menard, and got to go down the street from the racetrack to the west, and where that road tees, you make a left, and on the right-hand side, there's this nice place where a bunch of nice gentlemen hang out.
Little vacation.
Enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
So I got to go down.
Great businessman.
Hang in your head like you may have visited there as well.
I know the place. That's why he said go down that road. And check
when he sat his head down like this was the tell, I feel like I'm willing to play poker right now with this guy.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a read on him. So,
well, it was just, I remember being young, young enough, but I was probably 22, 23 years old. Because I moved from Georgia when I was 19. My side of the family has always been from Birmingham, so I remember going over with my grandparents, stuff like that. But I remember being of age at that same establishment, but also thinking, even at that young, about like, this is genius. Like, of course. But at the same time, you're thinking, well, this is twice a year. Like, it's the other rest of the time you're in the woods of Talladega, so you're not as busy as you are on this race weekend.
Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah, I think we got different.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about motherfuckers going to jail, dude.
I'm thinking strip club.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah, he's talking about getting that.
where would you go?
Locked up.
What did you
miss the read on that?
I know the place you're talking about.
All right,
Yeah.
so go out the front entrance of the racetrack,
He took
make
a
a
left instead of a right.
go to the west,
Okay.
take that till it tees,
Yes.
make another left, and go down a mile or two, and on the right-hand side, without this big fence around it.
It didn't have a neon sign on it, right?
No,
It's not the one with the neon
no.
sign. Yeah.
We're going to come back to where you were
Okay.
going, because I got questions now.
Yeah.
But no, I would call it technically the big house, but it really wasn't the big house. It didn't have a fence around it
Okay.
for a big house.
It was,
Are we catching
okay.
up? See, this is what happens.
Okay.
Is
You
an
get down
intellect
around-
problem
You
in
just
Alabama?
we ran in different circles.
You get
We
down to
ran-
Alabama, and it's like you got a grade on the curve here. We're probably going to need a whiteboard and a couple pens to get through this. But
Crayons, preferably.
well, you can't wipe them off the board as easy. So
true.
So what did you go there for?
he got in trouble.
Oh, he needed to.
and he was in timeout.
Okay.
With some other guys that needed a timeout apparently, but this was a minimum security timeout
Check yourself
facility.
in and out on the weekends.
No.
Oh,
No,
you're
no.
there.
You're there. Come, stay, have a great time till we tell you
Till
you can go home.
leave.
So, but and he was a great friend of mine, and like I said, I had no knowledge of this whatsoever. But yeah, he was so instrumental in my career as far as, getting out open wheel cars, and when I say open wheel cars, like sprint cars and midgets. He was responsible for getting me my opportunity with the IndyCar team, and even after I left, we remained really good friends. And what he had going on that side wasn't my business, and I had no dog in that fight. So my relationship with him, in my opinion, didn't need to change.
Right.
I didn't agree with what he did, but not my place to judge either.
Right.
So, but yeah, we would be down there, and I'm like, I'm gonna leave on Monday and go down
Go
and
see a buddy.
go see a buddy of mine. Wasn't the same buddy you went and saw,
No.
probably.
No, it sounds. Yeah,
Did your buddies have all their teeth?
No.
Probably not down there.
Well, depend if it was race weekend, most of them, because they.
They brought in the talent. From,
Of course, yeah. I mean,
Well, they shuttled
Wait a
them
minute.
in.
See, now this is where I'm confused. Most of their teeth, or most of them had all their teeth?
most of them had all their teeth.
Yeah, they brought in the teeth. They're like, girls.
Somebody is watching this is going to
Girls,
be
throw 'em in.
keeping
Yeah,
score here.
it's because
so-
that's a key detail. You're right.
I feel like it's pertinent to the conversation here. So.
I think that's one state. We've toured a lot doing. We've ran around the country doing car show circuits, so we've toured a lot of Josh's type of establishments. I've never been to anything in Alabama. I don't think.
But there's
I
one
spent
on
a lot of time down there.
There's one on 78 highway if you're headed out to great local track, Sayre Speedway.
Heard of it.
It's like the Bowman Gray of Alabama, right? But smaller and everything that you would
Smaller
expect.
than Bowman
Yeah,
Gray.
smaller. Everything you would expect and think. But right before you get to that track, there's a place. I think it's still there. Forever it was. It's called Wesley's Booby Trap. And
Beautiful name.
78 was also a major, before they had the highway, the interstate, that was a lot of truckers would go there and stop, obviously, at Booby Trap. But
It's a shop for shoes.
the thing about the Booby Trap
thing.
was
That's
when
the
you
thing.
went in, you paid your cover. I think it was $5 cover, whatever, and they handed you a block, a little 2x4, like this, right? About 6 inches long cut of 2x4. Everybody got one when you came in. And that was when you lined the stage. Everybody had to beat on the stage
With
to
the
get the
2x4?
next girl to come out. So it's just, you'd hear
That was
all
like
these-
we've had enough and you're done.
No, that's to get them to come out. That's to get everybody to come out. Like that was the thing.
okay,
That was their. If you go to like your crazy places like your buffets, they were known for their rolls. Everybody throw their rolls. Like this place was known for the block of wood, and you'd hammer it down.
You notice he said 6 inches, right?
Yeah,
You see what he's selling.
about 6 inches. 6-inch block of wood. So back to the racing thing, I'm gonna get
let's
destroyed
sidestep
in
that
there.
one.
You
Yeah,
realize
get
this is going to be
destroyed.
this is going to be like a
This is gonna
record
be
that the needle
fucking
can't
awesome.
come off of it.
I know.
So it's just
That's
gonna
fine.
sit there, shh.
I should have known too, because the amount of shit you got at Talladega from fans, because that I think as much as you were loved, especially in Dale Jr. era, right when everybody it was Dale Jr.
We were unofficial teammates during that, so I went from literally being in the shit house with everybody to straight to the penthouse.
hell yeah.
and the whole rest of the field knew that too. They actually, it was entertaining to watch because, obviously during pit stops and everything, things get shuffled around and everybody gets separated and reorganized. And when Dale and I started getting together, and the reason we got together was, I had Bobby Labonte as my teammate at that time, and Bobby's theory and how he approached restrictor plate races was different than mine. And so Dale Jr. and I thought exactly the same on our approaches on it. And obviously by yourself, you can't do a damn thing. You start getting a partner, now you got strength, and there was strength in numbers. And when it got to be about the third race between Daytona and Talladega that we got together and would march, and I mean march to the front.
Yeah.
It took about 3 shows for those guys to figure that out and realize we are either getting on the train or getting off the train. But there was the group that was wanting to be off the train and figured out we can derail the train as long as we can keep them separated. And that got to be highly annoying because it
there's a shit ton of YouTube videos of you on the radio talking about how annoying it is.
Yeah. And it got to where you knew there were guys that were making moves that they would not make, but they were intentional to keep us from getting together. Because once you got hooked up, we were inseparable at that point. Because if one of us whoever was leading, and we didn't care, because it's like, if you don't win, if you got second place points, you got second place money and second place points. Way better than wrecked and on the truck with tore up race car. So if we could get there, we were good. But we would not, if you went around a vehicle, you would not just pull back over right away. You'd wait till the second guy got clear, and then we both went at the same time. And so that's when they realized exactly what we were doing, and that the only shot was to keep us split up and separated. And they would, I don't mean with cars in between us, I mean they would keep us split in different lines. But then we figured out once we got split up in separate lines like that, if we could get to each other, I just drag the brake and open up a hole and
pull in, just like driving on the interstate.
Let him pull over in front of me, and then it was like game on all over again. Or vice versa. But that element changed.
And seeing that fan base change too, though, is what was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've followed NASCAR for a good while, and it's funny. You've got your tribes. Everybody's got their tribes. Traditionally, it was always your 4 or 5 key drivers, and then everybody else. They had fan bases, but it was your. Today, it seems like there's the top. You get 12 or 15 drivers that have fan bases, but you don't have the 1 or 2.
You don't have that elite group,
right?
It was Jeff, it was Dale, you had Rusty, myself, but it was a small 4 to 6 driver group that were those elite guys at the top that had the fan base,
right?
And then there were great drivers that had good fan bases, but it wasn't the same as Dale. And you
think that's better for the sport now?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't even watch anymore. It is so neutered. I mean, they're driving cars with 500 horsepower. At the peak when I was running, we were at 875 horsepower with those things, and then they cut the nuts off of them. We went down to a 775 horsepower package, and I was miserable. I'm like, these things are pieces of shit.
Those fuckers are 500 horsepower now?
I think they're back up to 600 or 6 something. But I'm going to do a commercial shoot tomorrow with Dodge and Ram, and we're promoting a truck that has 777 horsepower that you can buy off a showroom floor. And you can go to Talladega to the truck race and outrun that thing by theory.
Sure.
With more power from a street truck that you can buy. It's like, NASCAR, wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I mean, the new car shit's getting a little crazy, too, though. I was walking out of the fucking gym this morning, and I'm looking down. I look over, I'm like, there's a fucking F-150 Shelby. And I look at the side. It says like 760-something horsepower. Like, some asshole can go buy this thing.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Like, holy shit, dude.
Anybody.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess.
There's enough accessories on that to help that person drive that thing safely.
I would assume so.
Now, if they learn how to push buttons, then they're opening up a can of whoop ass they're not ready for. So
Run out of talent.
But it's capable. I mean,
on the horsepower thing, from hopping into 3/4 midgets, and then you went into sprints, which that's a 500 horsepower jump right there. You're
more than that even.
900 plus horsepower in the sprint, right?
They are now. Now they're about 920, 925 on the good programs. The 3/4 midgets, the 3/4 midget I drive now has about 130 horsepower.
Oh,
So it's a big jump.
Wow.
So we run 636 Kawasaki's just stock, and they're way stronger than those old Honda 754s.
Wow.
So,
But I'm so intrigued, and I'm sure you've talked about this before, in the seemingly drastic change in driving styles, tracks, car setups, horsepower, and all of that. That you've done that 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah.
What is it? Even jumping from sprint to IndyCar, because you didn't have a 5, 6, 7, 8 year like lead up of like, oh, he's getting a little bit better this year and he's getting a little better this year. You jumped into a fucking IndyCar, which in that era, that was mid 90s, right? Early 90s.
Yeah, mid 90s.
They were
96s for sure.
They had all the fucking power.
Yeah, the car that I qualified at the Indy 500 had at that time 1,008 horsepower was our qualifying motor.
What's that car weigh? 2,000?
1,600, I think, 1,650.
Yeah, it's a rocket ship.
Yeah.
But you won a championship in your second or third year.
Second year.
That, what is it in the mind? What is it about you, or you think on the mental side of things, that you can just figure out that car that fast? Or does it?
I honestly think it's because I never just stuck to one form of motorsports. It wasn't like when I went to IndyCar that I stopped doing all the other stuff. And you got to remember, in '95 we won the USAC Triple Crown, so we won the Midget, Sprint, and Silver Crown championships. So we were already running 3 different cars
Same year.
on a regular basis. Plus, on the side, if I had a night off, I had a couple buddies that had a dirt modified. Had another guy that had a dirt late model that I got a couple rides in. So I was running different stuff all the time. So, and I honestly believe that's what made it easier, because you never got stuck in a feel. You know, you didn't say this is how it has to feel, because it's a different car every time. So instead of going, this is the feel I'm looking for, it turns your mindset into, what does this car want? Because you talked about going to the IndyCar. I remember running the first IndyCar race at Disney World, and the very first race that I tested there, we practiced, qualified, race practice on Saturday. Race day on Sunday was hot. It was like 15 degrees warmer day in Florida. And everybody's cars were loose as all get out. And I qualified like 12th. I wasn't spectacular in qualifying. But they dropped the rag on that thing, and people were dropping like flies. I mean, whew, straight back. Turns one, well, it was turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3, they called it. But turn 1 had banking to it. Going into turn 2 had a hump over and then down into this big sweeping corner, and it was more than a 90-degree corner. And you had this flat dog leg to the start-finish line. So off of turn 1, when the banking would fall off, and those cars had turbochargers on them, and where everybody got in trouble was the pace slowed down so much because of the grip that when you went off the corner, now you have turbo lag. And so right about the part where you crested over was where the turbo would start really bringing the power in.
It was like driving that KT100 again on the dirt. It was that, that two-stroke come in.
Exactly. But it would do this, and I just kept driving it that way, and you do not, and I didn't know any different, because first time I'm racing one of these things, but I'm like, ooh, and it gets your undivided attention, like, ooh, this is big. It wasn't like a sprint car getting loose. But I just ran it that way the whole day, and I didn't know any different. And shit, I led a bunch of the race, and then ultimately ended up running second in it.
Holy shit.
And it just was crazy, and you know, after the race, some veteran drivers were like, you can't do that. You're going to bust your ass. I'm like, yeah, I felt like I was going to bust my ass about 6 times during the race. And they said, well, maybe after the first or second time you do that, just don't do it anymore. You know, back it up a little bit. But I just did. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I was used to hustling, and that's just what you did. But
so you're feeling G's and inertia. You're not like, these tires are doing this and I got brake feel. You can go to car to car to car, because at a certain point, G's and inertia to a max on a corner would make whatever car lose it or do whatever it is.
It's no different than having a girlfriend. You say the right things, it loves you. Say the wrong thing, bites you, smacks you. Same thing with a race car. What you do with your hands and your feet, it will tell you what it wants, what it likes, and what it dislikes. You just have to be smart enough to register it and say, yep, that worked, that didn't work, and change and adapt to it. Once you learn how to do that, then set and sail at that point. But every car has different things that it likes and dislikes. You know, sometimes, Cup cars, even that changed over the course of when I started in Cup in 99 to current. We never, kind of drug the brake to hold the nose down. That wasn't even a thing for years. We ran stiff springs in the front, soft springs in the rear to keep grip. It wasn't about attitude. And then all of a sudden somebody came up with the idea through the wind tunnel of, if we get the nose down, we get the back up, we get more total downforce, front and rear. And that's when the whole game changed. But then after a while, then it's like, okay, well, you go in and, you get on the brakes and it would pull the nose down and you get the attitude right off the ground, right where you wanted it. Well, eventually, though, between the spring rate of the tire and the setup, the nose would rise a little bit. Well, as soon as it would rise, it'd get tight. So guys figured out, well, if you just drag a little bit of brake, it'll just hold that attitude down, and then you got your grip back. So it's just understanding as a driver, trying things and saying, yeah, that works, that doesn't work. Well, now they do it on iRacing.
iRacing, yeah.
And they crash and they go, there's a new car, try that again.
Yeah.
And make a million laps before they ever go to a racetrack. So
yeah,
change the game.
I get it. But you still don't have, again, it's why you're the only person in history to win championship in both. There is something different. You can listen to a car, you can do all that. You jumping in an IndyCar going 230 something miles an hour. First Indy 500, you qualified in second, right? Started the race.
Yeah, that was a whole long story. So I qualified on the pole. Ari Lyondike went out, bumped me off the pole. Scott Brayton had already qualified, my teammate, and they scratched his car, one of the boldest moves in 500 history in qualifying, scratched his car that was solid in the field. He was in second row and got the backup car out, and he went out and beat Ari's time. What they didn't know is that Ari's car was 7 or 8 pounds light at the scales, and they threw his lap out, threw his run out. So that would have moved me back to the pole. Well, Scotty got the pole out of it. I was second. And then unfortunately, during practice in between qualifying and the race, Scotty crashed and passed away in the crash. And that moved me back to the pole. But yeah, that was a whole crazy set of circumstances.
It's first Indy 500, and
I think you're discrediting the fact that some people are just fucking good at shit.
I know. I'm trying to get him to admit the fact that he's just that fucking good.
Some people, it's no different than building cars. Some guys are just fucking good at it. You can explain it however you want. Some guys will do it forever, and they just can't get it.
That's that good at doing PR.
Yeah,
there's everybody in every silo of whatever in life. Everybody has their niche at what they're good at and what they specialize in and what they just have a natural feel for. Look at what Jesse James has done, with motorcycles and everything. Not everybody can sit there and grab a piece of metal and put it on an English wheel and shape it into what he does.
I was just at his house 3 weeks ago. We were out there in Austin, and you're looking, and same thing. Me and Vinny are leaving, and you're like, he's one of those people that just,
how do you can't quantify it, you can't explain it. He's just fucking good at it,
But it's feel. It's just a feel, and it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO of a company.
Yep.
You just have a feel for what's the right move to make.
Of course.
Whether it's driving, whether it's mechanics, whether it's crew chiefs. There's just guys that have that niche that are good at what they do, and mine just happens to be in a race car. And I think it was more out of fear than anything. I realized at an early age I was too lazy to work a real job, and thinking about driving an hour in rush hour traffic and sit in a cubicle all day and work my ass off in a suit and tie and drive an hour back. That's not me. Yeah. So, hey, some guy paid me to drive a race car. I made enough money. I literally was working at a machine shop, and I wasn't doing anything. I was just doing monotonous work. Guy had a screw machine and tubing, and he was making inserts for motor mounts and shocks for the bolts to go through. And so they come off the machine, go in the solvent bucket. I'd take them out of the bucket, hold 4 of them at a time, and go and deburr them both sides and throw them in a different bucket. And then they went to a different place and went through a tumbler to deburr the outsides, another place for the adhesive, another place. I think Goodyear was actually the ones that injection molded the rubber around them. And so that was just part of the process. We were the first part of the process. But I worked at this machine shop, and I went to Phoenix to run the Copper Classic, which was midgets and Silver Crown cars, and I ran second. And I made $3,500. And I was on the red-eye flight home because I had to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning in Indiana. And thank God I math is one of my stronger subjects, so this was a layup. I'm sitting there on the plane, and I'm like, I made $3,500, and I'm going to go to work tomorrow, and I'm working for $5 an hour cash. How many hours? 700 hours I got to work to do what I did in one day right here. So went in the next day, and I worked for about 3 straight days, and I went to him. I said, hey, I think when the season starts, and he owned a 3/4 midget. That's how I got the job there. And he let me off to go race and all that stuff, but he did after this, but I had to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning. And I said, hey, as soon as the season opens up, back here, I said, I think I'm gonna try to make a run at this and see if I can make a living doing it. He was stoked about running second, and it's hard to sit there and argue. I got to work at this shop 700 hours to make what I made in one day out there, and it's no guarantee you're going to run second. It's no guarantee you're going to run 20th. But
did you have a ride at that point set up, ready to go, or your own car? Or did you have to then go?
I was on a
personal
race deal and picking and choosing, but I got hired after that race full time in that car.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I'm not going to be scrambling home to try to go to work the next day when maybe if I pick up more rides like this in different classes, I can make a run at this and see what happens. And it was about 6 months later, I moved down to Rushville, Indiana, and got my first apartment in Indianapolis, and was closer to the shops, and it just rolled from there. But you had to take that leap.
You ever get nervous?
In a car?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When your wife's driving, or?
Then there's
Sorry,
that. That's
we
a
can
whole
edit that
nother.
out. We can edit that out.
No.
Well, I was just wondering. I mean, I know it sounded a very simple question, but you talked through methodically of it's the feel, right? And you're listening to the car and you're giving it. While you're doing all of that, you have a project, right? It's figuring out the car. You're thinking about that stuff. At what point do the nerves kick in, if they do?
Well, I think the nerves aren't because of what's going on in the race car as much as it's just reality. I mean, back in that day, the safety side wasn't as good as it is. I was running 3/4 midgets when Rich Vogler passed away in a sprint car. Had just got into full midgets, and Robbie Stanley passed away in a sprint car. I think those were kind of the two guys that I knew at that time. And so the reality of it is you're sitting there going, these are guys that won championships in these cars, and they've been in a crash and passed away. And so that's the reality of it. So anybody that gets in a race car and says they're not scared, and when we say scared, there's way different levels of it. I don't think it's necessarily being scared as much as it's respect.
Respect.
You know what can happen. And if you don't treat it with that respect, and I'm not going to say scared necessarily, but if you don't have that respect for it, that's when it's going to bite you. That's when you're going to do something that steps over the line of what you should and shouldn't do, and that's when you're going to pay a price for it. You just hope it's not the ultimate price.
There's probably a balance of respect and fear, because in a lot of if you go into shit scared, it'll bite you too. Like no different than operating a tool.
Yeah.
Or
going in timid.
Yeah, you come in there and you got a tool that you're like a little scared of. The fucker's guarantee it's going to bite you.
Absolutely.
There's it's got to be a certain level of confidence, but respect. For it, right?
Well, it's especially when you're trying to learn the car or listen to the car. There's that respect part, but there's also you don't know the limit till you find the limit. So it's got to just at least threaten to bite me, so I know the push, the limit.
You got to find the edge to know where it's at.
Find it, exactly.
Or go over the edge to know where it's at.
So I think there were 2 times that I can say that during the race I was genuinely scared. And the first one was the first race at Disney. Late in the race, my teammate Eddie Cheever crashed in turn 1 in that bank corner in a safety truck. And keep in mind, this is a new series. This was the Indy Racing League. They'd split off from CART, the other sanctioning body, and had their own new safety crew and all this first race for these guys. The caution comes out, Cheever crashes, the safety truck starts up on the racetrack, and they're in the groove. And I'm still slowing down. I'm not full song, but I'm not at caution speed yet. It's way too early, and they sent them too early. So my only choice was to go to the outside of it. Well, my teammate's here, and he's about a car width and a half off the wall, and there's carbon fiber up there by the wall. I drove over body pieces up by the wall. Now, the good thing is I didn't do it at speed. So the bonus of that is I'm not carrying all the downforce to worry about cutting a tire necessarily, but we didn't have tire pressure sensors then. And literally the crew chief is same guy that went on vacation, not at your place of vacation.
The other place, yeah.
I like your vacation place better. Is calling on the radio. He goes, do you think you cut a tire down? Do you think you have a tire's going flat? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't think so. And I'm weaving back and forth and it feels right. I'm like, I don't know. But then we go back to green with 6 laps left. And I'm like, this isn't good. And so I had that fear. That was genuine fear for 6 laps and finished that race. The only other time while you were talking a minute ago that I was sitting there going, where did I ever have anything that was legit fear? Had a loose wheel at a cup race and same type of deal, got a handful of laps left. I don't want to pit. I'm going to go from top 5 run to somewhere in the late 20s to 30th place in the deal. And rode it out, and the vibration's getting worse and getting worse. And you know what's going on. I mean, nuts backing off, nuts backing off, nuts backing off. And at some point, one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to lose enough lug nuts that it breaks the wheel, or it's just going to break the wheel in general from hogging the holes out. And finished it, and I mean scared 2 mile track, Michigan. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't like that. I said, man, next time that happens, I hate it, but I'm not doing that again. And
yeah, that's a lot on your mind that whole time.
Where you're just sitting there like you're trying to drive with your fingers crossed like this.
Yeah.
Going, it's really hard to hold the wheel with just your thumbs, you know. But
I always think about this, like when you're in a top fuel car and things that if something goes wrong, it's going to go wrong so fast because you're doing 300 miles an hour in a quarter mile, or like a power boat. You know, you're on a cat, the boat's doing 200 miles an hour. The things that are going to go wrong in those scenarios, they're going to happen so damn fast that you can't react, right? Like can you in a top fuel car? Can you steer that thing and really you can correct it? I mean, throttle maybe, right? But can you?
So the things I was telling somebody the other day, a buddy of mine that's open wheel driver, sprint car driver, and I was telling him, I said, you know what we consider a good driver in NASCAR and IndyCar and dirt cars, sports cars, is a way different grading system than what you grade drag racers as good drivers. The criteria in drag racing that makes a good driver is cuts a good reaction time on the tree, keeps it in the groove. Biggest thing, especially for rookie drivers, they'll say that's a good driver, is you're doing the procedure correct. You're doing the procedure correctly. The cadence of the procedure is correct. You're doing it right. The biggest thing is when things go wrong, and it's not that it's a steering issue or something like that. If the tire spins or shakes, and if they shake, they'll spin too because the contact patch is gone at that point. But when they spin the tires, a nitro motor wants to be loaded all the time. So it's like, you know, short shifting, so to speak, and how it kind of lugs the motor. And you're not really lugging the motor, but it needs to be pulling. It needs to have load on it. So if, you know, like the cup cars, the way to go faster was free the car up. If you could run flat to make it faster, you just freed it up, and it freed the motor up. It made everything happier. It rolled freer. You can't do that in drag racing. So if it spins the tires or if it shakes the tires and you stay in it too long, if you stay in the gas too long, it's not about crashing the car. Air compresses, fluid doesn't, liquid doesn't, fuel doesn't. So you stay in the gas longer, you just keep adding fuel to the cylinder, keep adding fuel, and it'll cycle it through, but eventually the fuel catches up and pop. And that's a easy 5-figure and can turn into a 6-figure mistake.
Yep.
So that, believe it or not, is one of the biggest things that guys go, that's a good driver. He's on top of it. And I told our Cup guys our last season, we had Briscoe and Noah Graxon, Josh Berry, and Cole Custer. I told those guys, I said, you guys know how we drive and make split-second decisions? They're like, yeah. You know, they're asking me about a drag car. I said, yeah. I said, now take that split-second decision you made and make a split-second decision off of that. That's how fast we have to react in those cars. And it truly is. The difference in it is when I started driving those cars, I'd get to the top end of the racetrack and turn off, and there's 3 guys that come in the tow vehicle, and they take some They take body panels off. They unhook a couple things before they even tow the car back. And that's the start of the procedure. And they'd get up there. They're like, how was it? I'm like, I don't know.
I got here.
Yeah, I look at the car. I'm like, it's in one piece. We didn't blow anything up. But I know it sounds really stupid, but the reality of what was going on is that, the first cone, the increment that people see from the bleachers, the first cone is a single cone at the 330 mark. And the car would be at 330, and my brain's back at 200 feet going, now, wait, what are we doing now? So the moral of the story is your eyes are bringing all this information in, and it's coming in so fast from going from a standing start to accelerate. I mean, at 60 foot's our first increment, our first timed increment. At 60 feet, we're running 82 miles an hour. It's stupid.
It's moving.
Yeah.
In 60 feet, it's
nuts.
like we can throw a rock 60 feet, no problem. And at 60 feet, we're running 82 miles an hour on average. And so basically what it was like was old school internet. It's like dial-up internet. So when we get to the top end, you finish the run, and
You're like, there's a nipple.
It's
Almost,
just
wait a minute, we going back to Alabama now or what? So, going back to our boy's favorite place. But literally, they would get
PR
everything
person might be
done.
in trouble for signing him up for this one.
Hey, we're here for we're here for a good time and a long time. Normally it's not both, but literally when we would tow back to the pit area, halfway back your brain's starting to catch up, and it's not sitting there like old school dog, and trying to connect. It's starting to download the information. It's got it in your head. It just hasn't downloaded it yet. By the time you'd get back to the pit, get the car in, get it on the jacks, get it up, drain the fuel, and then go in and talk to the crew chiefs, got 75% of it downloaded and can intelligently talk about the run a little bit. Not as fine detailed as you would like, but you got some of it. And then 10 minutes later, it's finished downloading everything, and still don't have great detail about it, but it's no different than lifting weights. It's like, Matt Hagan, he's built like a brick shit house. I mean, he could,
That dude's huge.
I don't know if he can bench press 400 pounds, but if anybody can do it, it's going to be him versus the two of us. But I'm not going to sit there and go bench press 400 pounds a day. Now, I might get there one day and work up to it, build up to it, but not going to do it today. Your brain, and you hear people talk about this, and they're people that are way smarter than me. I'm from Southern Indiana. We're just not going to get there from there. But you hear them talk about we use 17 or 18% of our brain. I'm like, and first of all, it's like, who's the person that figured that out? They're obviously not
They're using more than 17.
Yeah, they're not at the 17, 18 mark. But how did they figure that out? I mean, if you said 20% was good enough, you round up and it'd been good with me. But there's something to that. And I truly believe that my journey in drag racing, that was the hardest thing for me. Driving the car was fine. Your ass, that is the feel of what the car's doing, every run from run one on knew exactly where we were at on the racetrack as far as left to right. You knew what was going on, but your brain and your butt were out of sync. The more runs I made, the more my brain started catching up. And literally, I feel like it's like having our iPhones out and having multiple apps running at the same time. There's one that's on the front, but there's others in the background that are out of sight, but they're still working. And your brain does that. I mean, I went down to a drag race school in Bradenton, Florida, and drove Frank Colley's cars. And I started in a super comp car. I made 6 runs in that. And on the phone, when we were talking about doing this, he goes, "You're going to make 3 runs in this super comp car, and you're going to be bored. You're going to want to move on." And so he took super comp car down there, and he took an alcohol dragster. His alcohol dragster is a 3-speed automatic, runs 220 miles an hour at the quarter mile. I'm like, sounds good. He goes, "We'll make 3 runs in that. You'll be bored. We'll put you in the alcohol car." Made 6 runs in it. He goes, "Let's put you in the alcohol car." And in my head, I'm like, I can't even do all the stuff in the super comp car right. And it's just procedure, but it's no radios. And so you have to know the steps. You have to know what sequence to do them in. And especially in a dragster, the motor and everything's behind you. So what these guys are doing, when you do the burnout and come back, they've got to de-ice it. So they got alcohol spray or whatever, and it dissolves the frost on it or whatever. And then they'll wave you in when it's time to go in. But in the meantime, you're holding the brake with your hand, and you're like, I don't know if they're in front of the rear tires, behind the rear tires, all this stuff. But you're like, you're responsible for these people that are around this car. So that's nerve-wracking part that goes with it. So doing all those steps, and I was struggling with that with the Super Comp car, and you don't have to do all that with it. The blower was the part you had to take care of, but when we left, my wife was with me, and we had a camera crew. We shot stuff for YouTube, and because we thought, it's going to be fine. I left there. She goes, "What grade would you give yourself?" I said, "A C." She goes, "Why a C?" I said, "There were just a lot of details of it that I didn't feel like I did correctly and with confidence that I could do it every time and not." You get to a point as a driver where you're doing things instinctively, not thinking about it. It just becomes part of the routine, and I wasn't there yet. So I actually went back a second time, and one of the biggest things, I remember we were in the hotel the night before, and she goes, "What's the single biggest thing you want to work on?" And I said, "I want to get my eyes off the tree to the focal point faster." I was probably traveling 100 feet before I could get my eyes locked on target down track. Now, again, your butt's going, "Hey, I got you. If it moves, I'll tell you what's going on." But eyesight-wise, I could not get off the tree and get to my focal point quick enough. So that was the biggest thing I wanted to do. And this was a 3-month span between the first time I went down and the second time. So make the first run, and I come back, and I go in the room with Frank, and we debrief. And Leah was really respectful of letting Frank do his deal and not trying to teach over top of him. So he gets done, and she knows when he's done. She comes in with us, and she goes, "How was it?" I said, "You're not going to believe this." And I'd already told Frank this. I said, "My eyes locked on target immediately." And it blew my mind. I'm like, how does that happen? And what I truly believe was, it was like the cell phone thing we just talked about, that we went home, my brain was like, we didn't do this right. We got to figure this out and make the adjustments. And it's like being in the app in the background, because I'm not driving a car again the next day. Yeah. But in that 3 months, my brain caught up and figured that eyesight deal out. And immediately, I made 5 runs that day and 5 runs the next day with it, and every time just spot on with my eyes.
Do you think it was the break and having time to think about it and then come back?
I think fresh? Just it had time to catch up. And so even driving the nitro car now, Hagen told me, I was a little discouraged. It took me a while. I got used to the alcohol car, so I ran a full season of alcohol, and those cars, the real cars that you're racing, are 270 to 280 mile an hour cars. I think I went 282 was the fastest I went in the alcohol car. And I ran a full season, ran second in world championship points, and got beat by a girl, which I heard endless bullshit from all my buddies about that. But Julie did a great job and had a great team around her. And so then when Leah decided she wanted to start a family and stepped down the car to go through a whole season being pregnant, and then the second year, raising Dom and getting him off on the right foot, I had to go through that same learning curve again. But the good thing was I'd been through it once, and my brain caught up way quicker. But still, Hagen and even Leah said it's going to take 80 runs before you get really comfortableness. Wow. When you go test, you can do 4 runs in a day. Guys that are really got a really loaded test list of things they want to get done, if the track opens at 10 o'clock, if they're in the water box at 10 o'clock and can be the first one on the track, and they are hustling all day, they can get 5 runs in by the end of the day, and their tongues are dragging by the end of the day to do 5 runs, because you're dragging it back, rebuilding the motor, warm up, drag it back up there, make the run, disassemble, go through that whole cycle 5 times. So to do 80 runs, you're a minimum of 40 days, which it's not even realistic, because our weekends are 2 runs on Friday, 2 runs on Saturday, and if you go to the finals on Sunday, you've made 4 runs to get to the finals on Sunday. So 80 runs is 3/4 of a season almost.
Shit.
With testing. So it took the majority of the first season to get really where we wanted to be. We got 95% of the way there, probably in 30 runs. That last little bit took the rest of the runs to get the rest of the way there and really get to where you're really nitpicking what that car is doing on a run.
On a perfect run, there's obviously a lot, like with the car set up for a perfect run, but how much throttle input and steering input is there when that thing is hooked up and it is a flawless run? Are you in and out of the throttle, or are you giving it any steering, or is that fucker just...
You stay in the gas. So the whole thing, when that light changes, you get your foot down as quick as you can get it, and you don't lift unless it spins or shakes or gets you out. If you get out of the groove and you get one tire out of the groove, the one that's in the groove is going to outdrive the other tire and make your problem worse. Now, with the top fuel car, you got a nose wing on it too, so you have front downforce, and you put input into it, and sometimes it'll bring it. You can bring it back, and sometimes it's just not going to bring it back. It'll drive through the front tires. So it's those split seconds, because now you're running 200 and some odd mile an hour by the 330
Sure.
and on down. So, at the 8th mile, you're running almost 300 miles an hour at the 8th mile at 660 feet.
Damn.
So when things happen, it's happening fast, and you got to make these quick decisions. But it's just amazing though how you figure it out, you get caught up, and the hard part is there's still probably 8 or 10 scenarios I haven't had happen yet that we know are on the list of things that can happen. And you can't practice for it, you can't plan for it.
You just got to experience it.
You just it just has to happen. And
Are there any racing simulators for the drag side?
I wish.
It's too hard to
there
duplicate
isn't.
that.
I mean, there just isn't yet. And it'd be hard to simulate it anyway. I mean, the biggest thing is the G-forces and everything else, and I don't care whose simulator you got, what motion base it's got, it can't replicate it. So I don't know. I don't know that even if they did have say iRacing decided, you know what, we're going to add drag racing to this, it's going to be wild, but it's going to be wild because it's a tuner's game. Where everything I drove in my career, I was 70% of the equation at the end of the day. The crew chiefs, the team were 30%. Now it's the opposite. Those crew chiefs in the lounge, there's a crew chief and a co-crew chief on each car. They are 70% of the equation. I'm 30% of the equation now. So my job is hit that gas, keep it in the groove, and if an event, we call it an event, if it shakes or spins, even when it shakes, you have to make a split-second decision, because it's not just shake and get out of it and abort the run. I tell everybody there's like a mild zone and then the heavy zone, and it gets in a mild shake, and the alcohol car was big about that. It would get a mild shake, and if it stayed in that mild range, it could drive out of it. But as soon as it crosses over into that heavy zone, is what I call it, you have no choice but to bail out of it. You can either bail out of it, or the alcohol car, you could pedal it really quick. You would get out of it and get back in it right away.
Just settle it down.
And it would honestly, what it does is it changes the frequency of the tire. So the tire's shaking.
Takes it out of that.
Literally all you're doing is just changing the frequency of that and get it hooked up again, and just change it enough to reset it.
You mentioned earlier, jumping back a little bit, you talked about racing with your buddies in go-karts, and you'd be friends all week long, but not at the racetrack. In cup racing, you said what you wanted to say with no filter. I think that's what I was always enamored by, regardless of what anybody said. And you had friends and you had enemies. Did you look at cup racing the same way as when all your friends were racing back then? It's like, well, this is a racetrack. Like, we can be friends during the week. Or was that's a full-blown job?
No, I think it's different from the standpoint that when I drove in the Cup Series and when I started in 99, you could outrun the tires. You could run, you go to Rockingham, for example, and if you ran as hard as you could run, in 25 laps, your tires would be a soapy dish rag, and you were junk, and you had to run those things 60 laps. So if you didn't budget your tires and take care of them, you were in trouble. So what would happen, Mark Martin was great about it. Mark was probably, I've used Mark my entire career when I tell this story. You'd catch Mark Martin on a restart of a run, and the crew chief, Greg Zipadelli, screaming at me on the radio, take care of your tires, take care of your tires. I am. And I'd catch Mark, and Mark would literally just pull over a lane, like we're talking about on the interstate. He'd pull over a lane to the inside, let you go straight on by, and he'd pull back in behind you and let you go. And you'd look in the mirror, and in 20 laps, 25 laps, you'd be half a straightaway ahead of him. You're like, I got it going on, man. Today might be my day. And then you'd go about 20 more laps, and you'd look in the mirror, and Mark's a little bit bigger than he was. And then 10 more laps, he's a lot bigger. And then he's on your ass. And so, to your point, you pull over, the etiquette, give and take. And so now it's my turn to do the right thing. So pull over, you let him go by, you get back in line. And by the end of the stint, he is a straightaway ahead of you and marching on. Thank God you got to make a stop, at some point. And so that was a good lesson. But that's kind of that was the etiquette. That was the difference of it. It wasn't just you were, nowadays in the Cup side, that's why the restarts are so chaotic, because you got to get everything you can get on that restart, because after about 2 laps, probably not going to pass anybody else the rest of the run till the next pit stop.
So your theory is, like we were talking about at the beginning, right, on driving on the interstate. If I've got you, I've got you. Just give up.
Well,
and then if you got me,
laps.
if you got me, you've got me.
Yeah.
Thing.
Now, at the end of the race, it's different. If it's 25 to go.
Right.
And even the guys that were really good with 25 to go, you either had it or you didn't. And if you overran your tires and a guy caught you, he's going to get by you. You're just pissing him off in the meantime, holding him up, because that guy might get 2 or 3 more guys before the end of the run. And the next time you go run each other, the next race a week down the road, they're going to remember that. Everybody was an elephant on memory. Remembered exactly how everybody raced each other. So it just was the etiquette. And you had Dale Sr. I mean, you held Dale up, you didn't have a choice. You were going to move, because you either moved yourself and kept it in one piece, or you got moved and you might keep running, or you might back the thing in the fence. But if you backed it in the fence, the whole time you're sitting there taking your stuff off, you're thinking about, how did I get here? You figure that out pretty quick. And then you got guys like Rusty and Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett, Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, obviously, as a teammate, was great. They would sit you down at the end of it, and some of them would move you a little bit, but they were a little more graceful about it. Dale was like, I got shit to do. If you crash, you crash. I got to go. But
it's not for me to train or tell you.
Right, exactly. I'm not your dad. And he told me that one day. He goes, I'm not your dad. I said, well, I kind of wish you were at some point. It'd be kind of cool. But yeah, you learned. I mean, you learned the etiquette of it. And unfortunately, once Dale Sr. passed, and it wasn't all Dale Sr., but Dale was kind of kept everybody in check. Everybody was all on the same page. The unfortunate thing that changed the game was technology. And like I said, at the beginning we ran stiff springs in the front, soft springs in the rear, and then all of a sudden we're running really soft springs in the front on bump stops and way stiffer spring rate in the rear to keep the back held up to get aero. And once that shift started changing, the game started changing and the etiquette started changing. And then the thing where I pissed everybody or pissed fans off was because I was taught a certain way when I came in. And to me, that was the gospel. That was the Bible. You did it the way you were taught. And once the game started changing, I still raced under the same rules that Dale and Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett and all these guys taught me. It was still the same deal in my eyes. I'm like, this is the way I was taught. You young guys aren't going to come in here and change how this is done. You're going to respect it like I had to do and like everybody else before me had to do.
Sure.
But the technology kind of changed that game, and eventually the etiquette took a big shift and changed a lot. And I really enjoyed the way that I was taught. I mean, once I figured it out, I enjoyed that kind of racing. It was a respect thing. And then you had young guys that came in, and I'm going to use Joey Logano as an example. Joey was not that way when he came in. He was the polar opposite. He didn't care how people raced. He was going to go race, and he was going to go try to win. We all tried to win. Nobody gave anybody anything. You had to earn it at the end of the day, but in the process of it, you got pit stops. You're going to work on your car. You're going to make it better. Don't piss a guy off on lap 20 when you really need to try to pass this guy with 20 to go. So work on your car, work with each other, give and take, and at the end of it, take what you can get out of it. But that changed, and I use Joey as the example because Joey is one of those guys that absolutely changed how he raced. Even though the game changed, he changed and raced more respectful the older he got. And he did it the right way, and he does it the right way now. There's still times that Joey will get into a problem with somebody, but there's guys that are a hell of a lot worse at how their etiquette is versus Joey. I respect Joey now. So I use that example a lot when it comes to him.
So it's I don't watch a ton of NASCAR, so I'm not like real knowledgeable on it, but is it a lack of etiquette now? Is that what it is, or is it?
It's not necessarily a lack of etiquette as much as it's a lack of necessity of what you have to do. I mean, you got on those restarts, you looked at the Phoenix race. They have the dog leg on the front stretch. It's the worst design ever. The guy that redesigned that thing, I remember talking to him. I was one of the first guys to run on it and do the tire test. And he goes, what do you think? And in my head, I'm like, you ruined it. You know, I loved Phoenix. Phoenix was one of my favorite places because I used to tire test with Firestone with the IndyCar. We ran the Copper World Classic. It was a cool racetrack the way it was. And the redesign, I mean, you look at how they race now. I mean, shit, they're racing 4 lanes underneath the line on the apron.
You don't even worry
it's
about that.
Not even the
kick.
racetrack. Yeah. You know, they do that,
Yeah.
and then they go in turn 1, and they're 18 wide because they can run 2/3 of the way on the apron down to the inside wall, and it's like, it's not the way it should be in my eyes. Everybody, all the fans can make their own decision whether they agree or disagree, but we all are entitled to our opinion. I don't think it's right. I don't like the redesign. I don't like it the way it is. I don't think on restarts, when you're crashing cars on a straightaway on a restart because guys are running 8 different lanes going through a dog leg on the front stretch and wrecking because of it and crashing 3 or 4 cars at a time, that's not a good thing.
At what point in your Cup career did you start thinking, maybe the pinnacle I thought, maybe there's something else. Maybe this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or maybe it's not what it used to be, or maybe there's something else after this, or maybe I just don't fucking feel like doing this anymore. It obviously doesn't happen overnight. There's things that start.
Yeah, but there was a key moment.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, there was absolutely a key moment. And there was, and I think it was plus or minus a year. It was around 2014. And 20 of us drivers got together. And this is when the game was changing. The setups changed. The tires changed. And the tires changed. I mean, I gave Goodyear a really hard time when things changed because I got really good at the tire management part of it. Jeff Gordon was phenomenal at it. You know, the older guys were really good at it. The young guys struggled. And so when I got on it and figured it out, I'm like, all right, I like this. I got it going on now. I got this figured out. And we were winning races. We'd won the championship in 2002 and again in 2005. And we were contender to win races and championships every season. Then when the game changed, we still were in the game, but all of that started changing. And so, like I said, we started going to soft springs on the front and riding on bump stops. Well, even though you're technically on a soft spring, all that spring does is let it travel. Then what stops it is that bump stop. When you're riding on a bump stop, you're not on a spring anymore. Sure. Even though it does give a couple thousandths of an inch, it doesn't matter. It's all in the tire. So that's when we started blowing right front tires. Well, that wasn't. I gave Goodyear a hard time, but it wasn't because the tires were blowing. But it's because they have to sit there. They're sitting there on Sunday night and Monday morning, and the bosses in Akron, Ohio, were going, "What are we doing?" Because it's a bad look for Goodyear to blow tires, and you're trying to run an ad on the commercials and sit there and say, "Hey, put your family in the streetcar with our tires on it." But hey, watch here after this commercial break,
going to the fucking
2 of these
wall.
guys are going to bust their ass.
Just don't run it on the bump stops. You'll be fine.
Yeah, they're going to bust their ass in turn 1. So Goodyear had to react, and what they did was not. I don't blame them for it anymore, but it bothered me because this is how I made my living, and I figured out how to manage my tires. What Goodyear had to do was make the tires so hard that they didn't wear out, and they stopped blowing tires. They had stiffer sidewalls, which they had to do, but it changed. Again, it changed the game, and so now you're trying to relearn it. Well, it band-aided everything that made me good in those early days.
Changed it all up.
It changed it all, and so then it basically brought the setup of the car to a stronger spot than it was the driver.
Makes sense.
That's when I didn't like it. When it took me out of the equation and it put it more in the hands of the crew chiefs of if it was right, it was right. If it wasn't, I couldn't manipulate it anymore. It just was. You had what you had. So that was when I got really frustrated with Goodyear on. But at the end of the day, they had to do what they had to do because they're not. Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company isn't getting rich on selling Cup
NASCAR,
tires.
yeah, right.
At all.
Right.
They're making their money on street tires and truck tires, semi tires. I mean, that's where they make their money. So they had to do what they had to do to take care of business. But that's how the whole game changed.
Do you think most of the older guys are in that same camp? They want to be the driver controlling their own destiny, and they're looking down at the technology and all the sensors and tuning every single item on the car? The
drivers want to be the decision, the difference makers in the equation. So I guess I kind of got sidetracked on your question. So 20 of us drivers in 14 plus or minus a year got together and said, what do we feel like needs to be changed to make the racing better? Because what was happening was they cut horsepower. It got to be more of an aero game. So the tires got harder, which made aero more important. There's two kinds of grip, mechanical grip and aero grip. So you start taking the mechanical grip out of it. Now what happens? Aero is more important. So if you're not that lead car in clean air, now the difference in your package is a much bigger difference of grip. So
I'm sure that, nothing the NASCAR and the France family love more than 20-something drivers coming and telling them what they need to do. I'm sure that went over well.
But we went into it with the attitude of we're all partners on this.
Right.
The fans were pissed. The attendance was starting to go down. The viewership was starting to go down. And we're all unhappy. And they're mad at us because we're mad at the end of the races because what we all did and what we were good at making money at, all of a sudden we weren't doing that. So when they took the horsepower away, what that changed is now instead of lifting at the 3 marker, now you're lifting at the 1 marker. You're driving in way deeper because you don't have the straightaway speed. So now you can just drive it off further in the corner. So what we all complained about as drivers is we needed more. What we wanted was more off throttle time, more time when you had to lift earlier and you couldn't get back in it wide open right away. You had to roll in the throttle. That made us as drivers work and do our jobs versus, and if everybody can hold the gas down wide open, they can all run damn near the same speed.
It's like driving a roller coaster.
How do you pass? If you're running 190 and you're running 190 and you're running 190 and I'm running 190, how am I going to pass you? So the only way to do it is the time when we're not on the throttle. Well, when that window gets smaller, now you've taken the opportunity away from us. So we had 5 things that we all agreed on. And when I say these 20 drivers represented all the manufacturers and every race team. At least one driver from every team in the series were in that group of 20. And we sat down with NASCAR. And so that moment where I said, yep, I've had enough of this shit, was when we went in there with all 5 of those things and they shot all 5 of them down and said, our data says the other way, that it's the opposite of what you guys are saying on all 5 accounts. And I'm like, the guy that said that was a guy that worked for an auto manufacturer. I'm not going to say his name because if I ever find him again and I find him in an alley, I'm going to beat the brakes off of him. But never worked on a race car, never drove a race car, never worked on a race team. Worked for an auto manufacturer. And then he says, our data shows otherwise. I'm like, well, what is your data?
Did you tell him what he could do with his data?
I did tell him that, and that's when Mike Helton, that was also in the room, realized that I was about to climb over this massive oval table that we were sitting at and choke him out. So that was the beginning of the end of the meeting. But
Damn.
We all agreed on it. And I tried to even show him. I mean, I have a dirt track in Ohio, Rossburg, Ohio. We have Eldora Speedway. We had a race on the same night, and it's actually coming up in a couple weeks. It's called Let's Race 2. It's sprint cars, 410 cubic inch sprint cars. USAC is there with the non-wing class, and the World of Outlaws is there with the wings, nose wing and top wing. And the races are drastically and totally different on how they run. And I showed them the replays and the highlight video of it because I found it the night before, and I showed the group before we went in there. I said, hey, look at this. I think this strengthens our case on the aero side. And the non-wing race, the entire race, the top 5 and most of the race, the top 6 were in the same frame to where you could see all 5 or 6 of those cars. The World of Outlaw race took the green flag. On the backstretch, you saw 3. By the time they came off of turn 4 to finish the first lap, they were down to 2. And most of the race, you saw 1, maybe 2 cars in the frame because of the aero. They separated. The closer you get to the car in front of you, you lost downforce and you lost grip, and then you fell back, and then all of a sudden, hey, you got my downforce back. Now I can stay there or catch up. But you had to, the moral of the story of that was you had to be a lot faster to get through that barrier to be able to pass that guy. And so I showed them the video and all that, and when they sat there and said that the data was, their data showed the opposite, I said, you're a fucking idiot. I said, you don't even know what a race car feels like to drive. How can you tell me that?
Yeah.
And like I said, Mike Helton, and I love Mike Helton. Mike Helton's one of the 3 most inspirational people in my life, what I've learned from. And when I kind of started rising up out of my chair, Mike knew, because I got invited to the NASCAR hauler a lot. not for cooking recipes or, hey, what about this vacation or whatever. I had reasons why I was in there, but I learned a lot from Mike, and that's what made me a better promoter with my racetrack. It made me a better car owner. I owned the All-Star Circuit of Champions Sprint Car Series for a while, and it made me a better series owner and promoter. So I learned a lot from Mike about how to do things and why. There were even times when I didn't agree with what NASCAR was doing, and Mike says, yeah, I know what you're saying, and you're not totally wrong on this, but this is why we have to do this. And it's like looking at a pie. It's like I'm looking at it from one angle, they're looking at it from a different angle, fans are looking at it this way, sponsors this way, and we're all looking at the same thing, but we all have different perspectives of why it works and doesn't work. And I was right on my side, but my being right didn't necessarily fit into the total equation. So it's like I didn't always like it when I left the trailer, but I understood what their stance was on it.
Have you gone back on any of those now that you've been a track owner, a team owner, a series owner, and a driver, and be like, yeah, I was kind of an asshole on some of those? Or
I absolutely was an asshole on it, but I was an asshole fighting for what I knew was right, but I only knew it from my perspective. So it's not like you go back and you go, you know what, I was wrong, or could I have handled it different? Yeah, I'd love to go back and change a lot of things that I did as far as how I handled things, but the message was right, and what I was fighting for was right. I just needed leadership on how to navigate it a little bit different.
Coming up, Good Guys is doing a brand new show in Nashville. This is the all-new Legends of Hot Rodding, presented by BASF, May 15th and 16th at the all-new Fairgrounds, downtown Nashville.
It's going to be a banger.
All-new location, nostalgic celebration of hot rod history and culture, paying tribute to the roots of the hobby. They got over 500 curated and iconic pre-65 only. Enjoy live performances all weekend long on the Advanced Plating Music Stage, presented by Alloway's Hot Rod Shop. And awards are coming back, big awards. So Bobby Alloway and Alloway's Hot Rod Shop is doing the Builder's Choice Awards. York Speed Shop is doing the members-only Speakeasy Lounge, presented by Ethos Craft Brewing. Artists scheduled to perform on the stage include Stacy Mitchert, Michael Ryan Vance, Austin Moody, Backlit, Alexandria Thomas, and the Nashville Palace Band, Haley Bundy, and Jen Bostic. Legends of Hot Rodding, presented by BASF, May 15th and 16th.
And as we were talking through all these changes and shit, I can't help but wonder if Dale Sr. could come back and put him in a race car, what would he say about what's going on in NASCAR today?
I don't know what he would say necessarily, but I can tell you that there's a lot of things that would not have ended up where they are.
Yeah.
He would have helped squash it. There's decisions that were made. Dale had such a big presence. I mean, the reality of this, when Bill France Jr. was still alive, Bill would have two radios. One was the NASCAR radio, and one was a radio that went to the 3-car.
Okay.
He could talk to Dale during the race.
I've heard
this
story.
This is real. This is not bullshit. This isn't a fairy tale or anything like that. I mean, it was real. And I remember somebody telling me a story the other day about him that he'd won the championship, I think 2 years in a row. And Dale got invited to go down with Bill Jr. down fishing on the yacht out in the ocean.
Yep.
And he goes, "You're not winning the championship next year." "What do you mean I'm not winning?" He goes, "No, you're not going to win 3 in a row." And he meant it. And that's the way it was. That was the end of the conversation. And he didn't win the 3rd year in a row. That's just, but Bill was really good. Bill Jr. was fantastic about the integrity of the show.
Yeah.
Don't stink up the show. And I remember one of the first times I got invited to the trailer was after I won a race. I'm like, why in the hell am I in trouble and going to the trailer? And Bill sat me down and he goes, "Boy, don't you ever stink up my show like that again." And I'm sitting there going, I'm trying to think, what the hell did I do? Well, problem was I'd get to about a 3-second lead. Next thing you know, they'd throw the caution. Then you have a bad pit stop, you get behind, I'd fight my way back to the lead and get to a 3-second lead again. I mean, we had a dominant car that day.
Yeah.
Get to a 3-second lead, caution come out. We had a lot of cautions that day. but that was, he's like, "Do not stink up my show." And So you think back in the day, we didn't have transponders and everything else. I mean, you had people that were sitting in a booth in a tower that every time you went by, there was a counter on the wall. And when your driver went by the start-finish line, you wrote the number down on that lap. And that's how they scored the races. There wasn't transponders. And so when you came down pit road, there were literally 2 guys in the scoring tower that had a stopwatch in each hand. You had 4 stopwatches total for 43 cars going down pit road and all these segments of pit road. They didn't know who was running what. But if you ruffled their feathers the week before and pissed them off, guess what?
A little fast.
You got a speeding penalty, whether you were speeding or not. And that's how they kept the balance. And that's how they kept everything. If you didn't play by the rules the way they wanted you to play, if you were stinking the show up or whatever, they'd either throw a caution or you get a speeding penalty. And after you figured out that's what's going on, then you go, you know what? I don't think I want that penalty next week. I'm not going to stink the show up. And so my crew chief got really good. I mean, we'd get out, get a lead. He'd give me intervals. And there wasn't the 3-second deal wasn't a hard line or anything, but it's like you start getting over 2 seconds, you're sitting there looking in the mirror going, man, I got more in the tank here, but I'll be damned if I'm going out away from that guy any further, no matter what.
Speaking of crew chiefs, we did a little reaching out before the show. So we've got a buddy and customer. He's been on the podcast before, Matt Swiderski, right? So he's crew chief for Wood Brothers now. He's been with Colleague and Trackhouse. Reached out. He said, I'm going to reach out to Darian Grubb and get some questions or story. I'm going to read the first part, right? First off, he says, first I got to think of something that wouldn't put him in jail or me in trouble. Was what?
Me in jail?
Him
in jail.
Him in jail.
Grubb?
Grubb
was straight-laced. There was nothing. I can't imagine there's anything that's going to put him in jail.
These are all fairly vanilla, right? So, but it'd be good stories, right?
Sure.
First, I need to ask about the rental car on the go-kart track at VIR.
On the go-kart track at VIR. I don't know that was a Darian deal necessarily. That was a Zipadelli deal.
Okay. Well, these are stories. Okay, these are stories he's staying to ask about.
So
I think he's purposely didn't implicate himself in anything.
He diverted to somebody else. Yeah. He knows the story though. So we would test at VIR in Virginia on the road course stuff to get ready for Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and it was better for Sonoma because the speeds were slower, and we would always run 2 days at a test, and so we're probably 3/4 of the way through the day. At like 3 o'clock, it starts raining, and I mean it's just pouring rain, and so we're not even loading up because it's raining so hard. We're not going to go from the barn that was the pit area over to the truck to load everything up because it's just pouring rain. So the guys get the bright idea they're going to get the rental cars out and go make laps around the racetrack. And
the beginning of the great stories, rental cars.
They're ripping around there, and they're going by, and they're leaning on each other a little bit with rental cars. You pay the $7 for the insurance. I mean, shit, might as well get some mileage out of it. And they're not leaning on the door panels; they're just bumper covers and stuff to each other. And so I see this, and I'm like, Zip, I'll be back. And I rode with Zippy. So I get our rental car that I rode to the track with him on, and I'm out there, and I'm damn near doing pit maneuvers with these guys, getting them sideways, and they're saving it. It's awesome. And I finally stop and come in. Zipadelli's ready to go, so we get in the car. We start out on the racetrack, and we are literally, it's probably a 25, 30-minute drive back to the airport. And we're about halfway back, and phone rings. Zipadelli slows down, turns in this driveway, backs out, starts back to the racetrack, and not saying a word. And I'm like, you forget something? Just shook his head like that. I'm like, that's interesting. So we get back there, and we drive to a spot on the track, and it's over this little crest at a hard right, and one of them didn't make the corner. And not only didn't make the corner, Made it all the way through the grass to this big tire wall down there and got this thing augured in. I mean, there's tires up to the base of the windshield on top of the hood of this thing. And that's one of them. And then we get back to the pit area because he hasn't got a chance to rip this guy's ass yet. So we get back to the pit area, and the other car's got half the bumper cover ripped off of it. I had a tiny little paint mark on mine, all I had, you know. And so we all drive back together, like we're talking about it out west. We're all holding hands, driving in line, and real nice and polite. And we get to the airport, and I remember we get to the rental car counter, and they go, "Hey, we got hit in the parking lot." We stopped to eat dinner, you know, get a bite to eat when it started raining, and the lady at the counter goes, "No, you didn't." And I'm like, "Yeah, really, we did. We just, you know, we didn't call the police or anything, but yeah, that's what happened." And says, "No, you didn't." Says, "My brother works for the record company who pulled you out of the tire wall." So that was a good one. And man, Virginia seems to be a place of a lot of good stories here. The second one I can think of off the top of my head is we had tested at Richmond, and you go to the airport, and it's a 4-lane road that goes in and out of the airport, and the FBO for the private planes was on the way there, but there's, you know, you got to turn, and there's a gap, and then you go across the road. Well, one of the guys is turned and sitting in the middle of the 2 lanes. The second guy is right behind him, and he nudges up to him and puts the bumper to him. I'm like, well, hell, I can help. I'm in the third car, and I get behind it, and I just put it in low, and I floor it. It pushes me, pushing this guy in front of me, and he's now pushing this third guy that's the first one in line. We push him right out in the middle of the 2 lanes, and there's cars coming. There's cars scattering. And he's got the brakes locked up the whole time. Well, 2 cars can push a car.
Oh, yeah.
And we augured him out there, and so that was the first incident that happened. And then once this second one happened, we all got called to Coach's office, Coach Gibbs' office, and that was the end of that bullshit. There was not a scratch on a rental car after that.
No
that
shit.
put the squash to that project.
You guys transition over to golf carts, or
No, we were all scared to death of getting called upstairs.
He didn't play, did he? Doesn't play.
No. Not. You got to remember, he had all these football players that by the way, the football players, he told me this. He goes, the football players did way worse shit than you guys did. I mean, they wrecked hotel rooms. I mean, they were like the Rolling Stones. They'd fuck TVs up and everything. And when you name it, they broke it. So we were like the 2 shrimp appetizer at the Japanese buffet compared to these guys.
We had talking about rental cars. We had a controller that worked for us years ago, and so we've all traveled for the last 25 years, and we're car guys as well. I'm sure we don't have near the stories as NASCAR drivers and teams do around rental cars.
But
However,
damn close.
we know that we all treat a rental car a certain way, right?
Not nice. Is
Not
the moral of the
nice.
story.
Not nice.
everybody asks, like, what's your favorite car? It's a rental car.
Rental car.
It doesn't matter which one. It's a rental car.
The side of that that's equally as important is not mine.
Not mine. Yeah.
Which car is your favorite car? Not
We
mine.
had this controller that worked for us years ago, and his daughter was turning 16.
Oh, I
And he was talking
remember
about
this,
buying a car and stuff like that. And
Why?
week
Wait a
goes
minute.
by.
Why are we talking about a 16-year-old girl in this conversation?
Our controller that works for us, his daughter,
Okay, all right.
is turning 16.
I'm afraid we're going
I
back
know.
to Alabama.
No,
No, this is clean.
This is in Illinois.
All right.
This is in Illinois.
It's not related to him.
Making
Yeah.
sure. I don't want this getting
It
derailed.
wasn't his sister.
No. No. So he's telling us he's got to get a car for his daughter, and week goes by, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting her go leave early today, go get her a car." I was like, "Oh, what'd you get her?" And me and Phil are there. It was a Honda or a Camry or something like that. He's like, "Yeah, it's great. Getting it from Enterprise. Once they term out from rental cars, they'll sell them, so like that." Me and him were both like, "No,
Are you out of your fucking
don't buy it."
mind?
It's like, "What are you talking about? It's a rental car. It's great because these people take care of them. They only put a certain amount of miles on them. And you're just going to and from work."
There's a
I said-
chance we've driven that.
I said,
rental
"Dude,
car.
you have no idea how rental cars are treated. Do not buy that car."
The 1 4-letter
Don't take
word
it if
there
they give
that
it to
was
you.
They was the wrong they.
Yes.
They, as in Enterprise rental car, treated them a certain way.
Sure.
It was nice. They, the ones that they leased them out, did not treat them that
I
way.
said, "Dude, don't. If you haven't done it, do not do that. Don't take it if they
Or-
give it to you."
Or if it's the right price, knowing it's a 16-year-old kid,
Yeah,
it's gonna get finished
right.
off anyway.
You're right.
Yeah,
just let it be that one.
It's on borrowed time.
Yeah, it's
See, my son's funny. Why it's funny because like he's been around. He's been in the fastest cars, the most badass cars. He loves when it comes to rental car selection time. Because he knows that Dad is gonna fuck that thing up,
Yeah.
right? And we do some shady stuff. We're jumping them. We're drifting them. Yeah,
Yeah.
The game's changed since they're all electric e-brakes
It's tough.
now.
Yeah, it used to be when you
when
go
you get old
we'd
school handbrake.
We'd select it, and they're like, pick any of them in row one, and we don't. You're looking in to see what's got the handbrake,
Yeah.
or what's got the floor brake you can pump without the release button.
Yeah.
Now they're all the electric. It murdered it.
we would go down to Daytona, and this was right at the beginning of my NASCAR career. I got signed with Harry Ernier, who had the 28 Hardy's car with Cale Yarborough. That's who my first car owner was in NASCAR. That's cool. So he hires me to run a Busch car. The same year I get hired to run the Menard car. So I'm running IndyCar and NASCAR at the same time. But I went down and ran this World Series at New Smyrna Beach 9 nights in a row. So that's why they called it the World Series. Wow. And I'm running a modified down there. But the guy I was riding with worked for Hoosier Tire, and we were really tight. So for some reason, I thought it was a Cadillac, but it can't be a Cadillac because they didn't have a handbrake on it. Whatever the car was had a handbrake. And so we'd race, and every night we'd get done. We'd come back to this bar at Daytona Beach and hang out all night. And so I was bad. I was really bad about he's driving along down A1A, and I just there'd be a couple, a young couple holding hands and walking down the sidewalk, and the sidewalk is on the edge of the street, and we'd get 20 feet from them, and I mean,
the noise,
dude, I'm telling you, and any gentleman, you can tell who's a real man and who's not a real man, because the real man is the one that's closest to the street, and he's got his significant other
right
guarded on the inside.
Course. Yep.
You pull that e-brake, and he will tackle like a linebacker into bushes or anything else that's to the right, and knock her into whatever's to the right of that,
Save her life.
thinking that he is dying too. So he's in self-preservation mode, and she's collateral damage at this point. But I mean, we would take him back to where eventually by the end of the 9 days, you could pull that thing as hard as you wanted, and it just drive through it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It stretched the cable so bad you didn't have to worry about it. It was out of play.
Yeah, that's most of our high school. It was
it's a
pop it
shelf
into
life,
neutral and very subtly, and then someone's just laying on the gas and can't figure it out. Then they grab drive while it's still in RPM. That doesn't sound good.
When the guy I was telling you about that did not go to the shoe shop in Alabama,
right,
went to hang out with his buddies at extended stay, he would always get a Cadillac, and his favorite thing that we would do, he always drove. I know I wasn't allowed to drive anything. He always drove to the track, and I rode with him all the time, 100% of the time. But his big thing was when we would go somewhere, especially at the end of the day, he would, if we're going to Chili's or Applebee's or somewhere, a restaurant for dinner, he would start in the parking lot, and he'd just throw it in park. And then it would sound like a playing card.
all that parking ball.
And get out of the gas and never touch the brakes. And he would try to get to the parking spot and let the let it catch and park at the parking spot. And sometimes we hit the parking curb, and sometimes
it didn't catch.
We're a little short, and sometimes we hit the mark. I mean, 1 out of 5 times we'd hit the mark and be like, hey, and cheer and go in and eat dinner. But I mean, it sounded like a playing card in a bicycle. It's like, and you're like, all right, we made it this time.
We had a parts guy who would do that, but it was in our truck.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, is he still the parts guy?
No.
He's not.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. See, that was the first sign. He was going to get voted off the island eventually. So,
Favorite Talladega infield story?
Well, what had happened was, actually, it was with Darian Grimm on this one.
I'm going to take them at some. They've never been.
We've been
but
talking about it for
We've
a
talked
while.
about it so many times.
I have threatened to go down and just park my motorhome on Talladega Boulevard there, which is actually one of the runways that used to be active. And but yeah, we actually got to go out on Saturday night, the night before the race, and it was Halloween. And so I got something that covered my face, and I actually got to roam around just like everybody else. But Darian went, some of the crew guys went. They left and were good boys because it's a school night.
Right.
Got to go to work the next day.
Right.
they left, and I was having fun and stayed down a little longer. But yeah, it was. I saw people that were auditioning to go work at the shoe
Yeah.
shop that you were talking about earlier. So
I've tried to tell
really
them
enjoyed
stories.
that
There's
part.
any wildest story you've ever heard, if it has to do with Talladega Infield, even if you say, "Ooh, I don't know if that's true," just believe it is true.
And it's a very educational experience.
It is.
You will learn a lot about a lot of different things.
Cultural, I'm
Yes.
assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. It will
Yeah.
open your eyes to a world that some have not. Oddly enough, some haven't seen that world yet.
I feel like I've seen the world. I've just never seen it there. I've never been
Not firsthand.
Yeah, I've never been to Talladega. I've experienced probably a lot of the things that go on there, just never in that setting.
Just
Talladega has never lost a party yet.
nope.
Not yet.
As much fun as those Saturday nights are, Friday nights are fun too. Saturday nights are fun. Much fun as you have all night long. If you, for whatever reason, find yourself up that next morning early enough, walking through that is like, it's like they're filming The Walking Dead. Like walking through there the next morning before anybody, you're like,
It's like an apocalypse.
what
It
the
is
fuck
carnage.
happened?
Carnage. I mean, it used to get so bad there with the smoke because of campfires and everything. I mean, everybody had a campfire. But there were nights there was no breeze, and it would fill the infield up so bad, and it was hot that with the air conditioners on, the air conditioners are sucking the air in from outside and sucking it through the seals of the slide outs on the motorhome. And I'd finally tap out because, oddly enough, dust and smoke and stuff, allergies.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I'd call one of the crew guys. I'm like, hey, I'm on my way, man. Just throw a pillow in the tub and I'm on my way. And they'd throw a blanket in there and I'd sleep in the bathtub. Because way better. I slept way better in the bathtub than I did in the motorhome with smoke in there.
Damn.
And but man, it would get wild. It would
Very
it was very ornery.
very
Friendly women.
Friendly-
Women in the South are very friendly. You find out on Saturday night.
extremely friendly.
Extremely friendly.
All ages. But the engineering feats of the contraptions that people would make to either ride on, pull behind, or climb on top of these
put poles
towers
on.
and put things. It's just every time. I mean, every little campsite or every little motorhome or every little corner you would take, it'd be something else. You're like, how? Literally, like being in Waterworld. Or Mad Max.
So
You're
this-
like, wow, that
this
thing
is
moves. Holy shit! Look at the size of the wheels on that.
Things that we talk about are just going to keep making full circles at some point. This is one of those perfect examples of where in my career I was scared. I'm looking at this thing and they're like, go up there. And I wanted to go up there because what was up there was worth going up for. But I'm looking at the erector set at the bottom. I'm like, this shit ain't going to work. And there's already 20 people up there and this thing is like this. And you're like, yeah, this isn't
fuck
a
it.
good idea. Yeah,
Fun.
I'll admire from afar. So
I've got one more of Darian's suggestions.
I was like, surely that's not it. That can't
No,
be the only thing.
he's
that
got a couple on. You teaching his kid the correct context to yell "oh shit" from his car seat on a dirt road out of Talladega.
True, very true.
What specific context do you use to say "oh shit"?
Well, we were using the rocks hitting the fender wells.
Oh,
So we would get sideways and you'd start kicking the rocks up in the fender wells a little more and you go, oh shit. So the best thing, I'm going to throw him under the bus here. So I'm at his, so here's the wildest thing. Darian is the whitest white guy you'll ever see. And his former wife, Yolanda, whitest girl you'll ever see. But you got Darian and Yolanda. Those are not white names.
no.
Not historically white names.
Right.
And these two are married to each other, and they're the whitest people you've ever seen in your life. So their son, Gavin, who is much older now.
Gavin's a white name.
Yeah, that's a white name.
Yes.
They made up for it eventually. Like, yeah, we cannot continue down this path, and things go the way we want them to go. So we're in the motorhome, again, in Virginia at Richmond. And the girl I was dating at the time, we're over in their motorhome, and Gavin is in diapers still. And it's pretty close to bedtime, and Gavin is getting ready for a diaper change, and he gets out. They get the diaper off of him, and he makes a break for it, like he's a Mexican getting ready to cross the border. He is gonzo. I mean, hauling ass. And we get laughing, and we get laughing so hard that he doesn't know, he's not processing this like we're processing it. And so he starts dancing, and he doesn't have anything on. And he's got his little combo sitting there shaking around while he's dancing. And my girlfriend's there, and I said, hey, shake it in front of her. Shake it in front of her. And he is right in front of her. She's laying sideways on their couch, and he is shaking it right there. And she is looking at me like, you dumbass. And I'm trying to get my phone to video this stuff. Because I'm like, somewhere down the road, Gavin's going to go to his senior prom, and I'm going to go, hey, this is what I don't know what your boy has planned for tonight after the prom's over, but this is what he did to my girlfriend, so just beware. But there was a race, and again, it was back at Richmond.
Wow, everything's at Richmond.
And Gavin was there, and Yolanda was not there. And Darian had him do himself, and Gavin was not allowed to have sodas. And so I said, Gavin, hold on to this. I gave him a Coke. It was empty. And I gave him a 5-hour energy shot bottle, and I said, hold this in one hand and hold this in the other one. And it is the best photo I've ever had, because his eyes are about a third of the way closed in the photo. He looks like he is ripped. And I sent those to Yolanda, and I left and sent those to Yolanda, and I hadn't even got to my motorhome yet. And Darian's calling me, and he goes, Yolanda's getting ready to call you. I'm like, about what? And about that time, Yolanda's calling. I'm like, never mind, I'll let you know how it goes in a second. What are you doing? You can't give him 5-hour energy and a Coke. He can't have that. He'll be vibrating all night. He won't go to sleep.
That was 5 hours ago. He's fine now.
Yeah, I said, he'll be
He's
fine.
cooling off now.
I said, I had one, and I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. He'll be fine. I mean, I was the guy that everybody that had a young child, a young boy, I was the driver they did not want their kid around.
You're the bad uncle.
I was the terrible uncle. I taught Owen Larson. I taught Keelan Harvick. Both of those for sure. And I'm sure there's somebody, Cash, Clint Boyer's son Cash. I taught all three of those boys how to say shit. And the best story on that is we were on pit road before the start of a race, and I can't remember where it was at, but they kind of lined us up Le Mans style, at an angle. And Larson and I had qualified next to each other, and I'm in front of him, so I'm to the left. And we're at the door, and the girl I was dating at the time, she's with me, and I talked to Kyle and all that before the race. And so we're standing there, and the national anthem's playing, and hand over heart, we're doing the right thing and proud of our country. And all of a sudden I hear, shit. I looked over my shoulder real slow like this, and it was Larson's son, and his wife is holding him. And I look over, and he looks at me, and he smiles. He goes, shit. Now, Caitlin is Kyle's wife, and Caitlin's parents are standing right behind Caitlin. And I see through Caitlin to her mom. And if her eyes were laser beams, I would have been cut in 8,000 small, square, perfect cubes by her eyeballs. And I turn around because I'm laughing, and I'm laughing so much. I'm like, please don't let the camera guy come down here during the national anthem and get me in this on this particular weekend.
That's bad PR.
And it goes from shit to shit to shit. And I break character, I'm hands still on my heart, but my head's in my lap, and I can't stop laughing. And I never stopped laughing till they said, gentlemen, start your engines. The national anthem's over, high five the crew, kiss the girlfriend, get in the car, put the belts on, put the helmet on. And he says, fire it up. And I finally could quit laughing when he said, fire it up. I died laughing. So the day my son was born, we were racing in Pomona. And so I fly back to Pomona for the race, which I'll finish that, and I'll go back to that night too, because that's a pretty good story too. But we announced, because I'm like, TV is going to say that Dominic was born, so it's like we got to send the message out before they do. And so immediately, Larson, Boyer, Harvick, see you in a couple years, bud. You're going to teach your kid to talk. I said. So I had to tell my wife, I'm like, listen, just so you know,
we got to beat him to the punch.
No. But this is going to happen, and instead of you being pissed off and trying to fight these guys, because my wife used to box in her teens. So that's a whole nother story. She got her ass kicked by a girl She said, it's never happened again, took up boxing. That's a bad thing for a boyfriend to not know until you find
Until
out.
it's too late.
Until you find out.
And you're like, shit.
But, yeah, I said, you can be mad, but you cannot be mad at them. You have to be mad at me. I said we, and then she looked at me, and I said, I have this coming. So they are just anxiously awaiting. Larson was at the drag races on Saturday and qualifying. He sees Dominic, and he's like, yep, not yet. It's not time yet. He's not talking yet. So I have it coming 100%. I'll tell you a story about my wife, about my son being born. So Pomona was the only race that she did not go to the whole time she was pregnant. And she stood on the starting line with our son in her belly the entire time. So this kid has heard every loud noise you can possibly imagine. She's been there in the pit during the warm-up, the whole thing. He doesn't faze him. He literally, after he was born, in the trailer that's 30 feet away from the car, would sit there and sleep through the entire warm-up of a nitro car warming up. But she goes to the hospital in Glendale, Arizona, on the west side of Phoenix, and I'm talking to her the whole day. No, she's on her way. Kelly Antonelli, she's about 5'2", is the lady that runs our entire program, and I've got this speaking engagement in front of sponsors on Saturday morning, and I know something's not right because Kelly reaches up and puts her hand on my shoulder, and she never puts her hand on my shoulder. She reaches up, and I'd finished speaking, and she puts her hand up there, and I'm like, look at her funny, and she's like, Leah's on her way to the hospital. I'm like, oh shit. And we had planned in Bullhead City is where we were going to deliver, and that's an hour away. She goes, she's going to Glendale. I'm like, that's 3 hours away. Well, the group that was going to deliver us and the midwife, they are in Glendale for the weekend and coming back to Bullhead after that. So audible, we're going to Glendale. So I call Leah after that. I'm like, she's like, I'm driving. I'm like, what do you mean you're driving? She goes, yeah, one of our friends, Dara, drove the first part of it 30 minutes to Parker, Arizona, and they stopped to get fuel and get Leah something to drink. And Leah had called the midwife and says, can I drive? She goes, are you having pain? She goes, no, not right this minute. She goes, as long as you promise that if things change, you'll swap back. She goes, absolutely. She goes, I'm in more pain sitting in the right seat watching this person drive the speed limit. So Leah switches, and she's rifling 95 mile an hour the rest of the way. I'm like, that's my girl. So she rifles her way to the hospital, and so I'm in touch with her the whole day. So get done with qualifying, and I fly to the airport in Glendale, and they pick me up, take me to the hospital. I got my little bag. I mean, we had bags packed for 2 weeks. The ready to go bag, ready, set, go bag. And I got my bag, I got all my shit ready to rip. So we get in there, and I cannot tell you the first thing that she said to me, because the second thing absolutely blew my mind. She goes, what is the drop dead time you have to leave here to be at the track on time tomorrow? And I literally, this is a true story. I said, what the fuck is wrong with you? I said, I don't think that's important right now. Because I told the guys are all excited. I mean, we're qualified. We're getting ready for race day the next day. And I had to sit there in front of the guys and go, I hope I'll see you tomorrow, but I don't know. And not one guy is disappointed. They're like, we know. We're good. Go be dad. Good luck. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep you up to speed of what's going on. So she literally says, what time is the drop dead time you have to leave to be at the track on time in the morning? And I'm like, this is the girl I married and decided to start a family with. This made me start rethinking my life decisions here. This is the mindset of the woman I married. And so it got worse because she stayed in that mindset. She's a badass. And finally the pains got so severe that she tried all the stuff that you could do that were layups and low-hanging fruit and wanted to do it as natural as possible, and finally tapped out. And so the other doctor comes in to give the big needle for the
epidural.
Epidural, thank you. I've only done this once, so I'm not,
I get it.
not proficient in the art yet. But goes to get that, and he asked her, or she asked him the same thing, because a buddy of mine said, when they go to do that, do not stay in that room, get out of the room and go stand in the hall till that guy goes out. And
Good
so
advice.
as soon as that guy came in, I mean, the door never even closed. I got out the door before it shut. And so this doctor comes out, and he looks over at me, and he goes, you got your hands full. I said, she asked what time she could have this kid, didn't she? He goes, yep. Said, can we have this thing by 8 o'clock in the morning? And then he goes, it does not work that way. Now, keep in mind, my wife has only held 2 babies her entire life before this. And I'm like,
wow.
Our goal is just to try to keep him alive. You know? And we celebrated at Pomona a year later, and I looked at her, I'm like, I can't believe the 2 of us kept him alive an entire year so far. And so we were celebrating just because we accomplished that. So, but she delivered at 4:43 in the morning, and something that was personal to her was she had a very close friendship with Ken Block, and Ken's number was 43. So 4:43 in the morning was unreal, unheard of. That was Ken speaking and being a part of this. And no playbook on what you do after that. So I'm like, I start texting parents. I text the crew chief. I said, I will be here. I don't know what time, but I'm going to be there. So I'm like, I got to text family members and all this. And, you know, we did I don't know what they call it, the golden hour or whatever, where it's skin to skin with mom and baby and all that. And I only made one mistake during the whole thing. I looked down once.
I did
one time.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes is once.
And it was just a glance. It was just a glance.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
That's all it takes.
Eyes out, eyes back.
That's all it takes. I've done that. I've done it twice. 2 kids. Second time, no.
All it took is a glance to me to see Chucky when I was 11 years old too. It scarred me for life. All it takes is a glance. And
all I saw was solid black hair and the tips of ears.
Yeah.
And
it's like a fucking horror movie, dude.
And I sat down on the edge of the bed there for a second. And the doctor looked at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm sitting there, didn't say anything, but I'm like, "You might need 2 of these beds here in a second if that happens again." I was starting to lose my shit, but no, a really cool deal. So go to the airport, and on my way to the airport, I'm like, "Oh my God, I've got about." Start thinking about, TV's going to know about this and talk about it. And I got about 100 of my buddies and her friends and all these people that they can't learn about it off the TV. So I'm on the flight, and I thought, it's a little over an hour flight out there. I'm like, I'll get a little bit of sleep. No, there was no sleep. Just the whole time, messages and photos, trying to do the whole thing and not piss anybody off. So, but yeah, it was a cool deal. It was really, and I can honestly say in 47 years of driving a race car, that it was the only moment when I lost in the semifinals. We made it to the semis. Lose to Doug Coletta. And it was the only time in my entire career that I was not upset about losing a race. Yeah. If I won it and went to the finals, that was going to be awesome because that's what we do. That's what we're programmed for. I lost, and I'm like, I get to leave now and go to my family. Yeah. And it was the first time that it clicked that I was going to my family. I wasn't going to my wife. I was going to my family. So that was a pretty cool
It's a priority shift for sure. I mean, it changes. That's a game changer.
But I sat there and thought, man, we are really in trouble when my wife is sitting there worried about what time I have to leave to go drive her race car.
I don't know, dude. I'm impressed.
Take it as a win.
Yeah.
Take it as a win.
I'm impressed. Honestly, that's a feather in your cap.
To a certain degree, yes. But then I'm like, we have to keep this thing alive. And this is the most responsible of the 2 adults in this family. And this is where her mind is.
It is a little shocking when you talk about keeping it alive. Isn't it a little shocking when they just give it to you and let you leave the hospital? That's what I was
yours.
I'm like,
here it is.
I'm like, so we just go? Like,
I had
to put it in the car. And
I reverted back to my earlier NASCAR days when I was getting invited to the trailer. I cussed this lady for 30 seconds because all she cared about was knowing that I could buckle it in the seat, not how I could carry it to the car, not how I could get the hooked up to the base or anything. Just, yep, you got the belts good. You're good. I'm like, is there like a manual?
That's what I was thinking.
Give me at least a 1-page laminated quick reference guide or something to get through this.
You go to Pet Supplies Plus and get a guinea pig, and they give you like
more instructions.
A whole list of
feed
shit.
it, water it, clean the cage.
And they'll be on your ass if you don't, too.
Right.
That's just like, it's yours.
Go to adopt a dog. Go to pay money. Go to pay $1,000 and then fill out, and they have to deem if you're worthy or not. You got pictures of your house? Yeah. What's your? I just saw what's your net worth?
Yes,
I'm gonna have to see your credit report,
and then like see your backyard. Do you have a fence?
I don't know if I don't know if the min pin is for you, right? Maybe come back. But a kid, they're like, 3 days. Yeah, you're good.
3 days. It was the next day.
Yeah, the next.
It was 24 hours later.
Well, no, you out of there.
I'm wrong.
I think we were in
it
2
was
days.
a day and a half.
Okay.
A day and a half, and they're kicking us out.
Yeah,
And,
they turn them and burn
and
them.
I'm like, whoa. And she goes, you got this. And the lady turns around and walks away. And I'm like, I'm ready to go choke this lady out. I'm like, there is no way in hell. And then it gets worse. The worst driving exhibition I've ever put on in my life happened once we left the parking lot. It took 5 minutes to get out of the parking lot, and it was 100 yards. It's like, it doesn't take 5 minutes to go 100 yards. But I sat at the intersection, and I, left, right, left.
Are we good? We good?
Left, right, left again. This car is a quarter mile down the road, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not pulling out in front of that car.
No, you never know. You never know.
Wait for another 5 minutes to pull out of the parking lot. And then my good buddy Marco Andretti, we made it about 20 minutes down the road. We're on the interstate. I'm running 5 mile an hour over the speed limit and feeling guilty about it. I mean, semis are going by me. And I mean, I'm death gripping the wheel because I've never had a semi go by me so fast in my life. And so I stop and get gas and put gas in the car. That was not my fault, by the way. That was her, and she left it that way. So be it. Stop and get gas. I need a break anyway. I need to get circulation back in my fingertips. Get back on the road. I've been on the road 5 more minutes. Phone rings. FaceTime. Marco Andretti. Hey, bud, what's going on? And I'm feeling guilty because I got one hand on the wheel and one hand on the phone now. My wife's in the back with the kid, and he's like, hey, congrats. And 2 minutes into the conversation, have you had him over 100 miles an hour yet? I'm like, are you shitting me? I said, did you not just see that R&L Carrier semi that just
went by
blew
you.
my doors off and went by me? He goes, well, that's a shame. He goes, his daughter's 3 months older than our son. And he goes, yeah, I had her 100 mile an hour on the way home. And I look in the mirror, and my wife is looking at me with squint eyes, like the sun's in her eyes, and it's 9:30 at night. Just like,
Drop a gear.
if you do this, and we're in a Dodge Durango with a Hellcat motor in it.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, you get there quick.
It's run 171. That's another story.
Allegedly.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said too. We'll come back to that. So, she looks at me, and I'm like, this is
challenging.
back to coach again.
Yeah.
Easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I go on, get to 102, and then like I'm at the finish line at the drag strip and looking for the parachutes and stuff. But she cussed me for another 5 miles, and cussed Marco, by the way, because he can hear her from the back seat.
You had to do it.
The only good part about that was the NHRA banquet was that night, and we did get Rookie of the Year that year. And
That's cool.
They're sending me pictures of my face on the screen, but I'm absent, and I don't have to wear a tuxedo. I don't have to give a speech. I have to wear uncomfortable shoes that are going to be blisters, and I'm driving home with my kid in a T-shirt and shorts. I'm happy.
Solid.
That's awesome.
The Durango. Let's go back to the Durango for a second. Allegedly, was coming home from a NASCAR race with one of Ken Block's friends, who's one of my good friends now, and we were in the last section of I-10 before we get off at Quartzsite to go up to Parker and Lake Havasu City, Arizona. And so I'm like, let's see what this thing's got. And we're about 4 miles away from it. So I got my elbow on the door, and I got my right side tucked in my rib, just holding the wheel as steady and smooth as I can in case anything happens. Got our seatbelts on. We're semi-responsible and maneuvering and get up to 171. 171. And so this is a month and a half later, and I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, they're like, how is that thing? And I said, it hauls ass. I said, I went 170 in it. And Leah's behind me. She goes, no, you didn't. I said, no, I'm telling you, for real, I did. Ask Trimner. He was in the car with me, and we got up to 170 right before we turned off. And she goes, no, you didn't. I'm like, I'm telling you the truth on this. If you don't want to believe me, so be it. But I'm just telling you. She goes, well, you didn't run 170. She goes, you ran 171. Well, how do you know we went 171? She goes, there's a button you hit,
max
and
speed.
it will tell you the max speed. I'm new to the Dodge program. I don't know that button exists. I also don't know where the delete, and if there's a delete button, if that resets that anyway. So, she called me out on that one. That was almost as bad as the story of...
She put it on the shelf, too.
Yeah, she had it.
Yeah,
she knew.
The other one you got to watch out for as the kid gets older is they get him on Life 360.
We have that now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they will find out. Like my son, he was with a buddy of mine, and he was taking him to some skate park, and they're cruising, and she's like, "Jesus, Steve, you're doing 130 miles an hour with my son."
It's getting dark out there.
Yeah.
We don't want them to. We don't want
So
them to
you
get
gotta
hurt.
watch. You gotta watch that one because they'll nail you on it.
We're driving to Las Vegas. This is Leah's 9 months pregnant at this point, and it's the last race she went to. It was Vegas before Pomona 2 weeks later. So 2 weeks before he's born, we have this newborn care specialist we hire, and that's day 1 to 4 months. That's their specialty. How you do not screw this up. You got this person that makes sure you don't screw this up. So we're taking her to the track because we want her to know the layout. We want her to know how the race weekend works and what we're up against, so that way she can plan, and whatever we need to get that we don't have or whatever we need to change, we can make the adjustments. And we're on this stretch of road that's, I mean, plumb bob straight for 16 miles between going to the south edge of from Boulder City basically up to the east side of Vegas. And I'm just cruising along. And when we say cruising along on that section of road, I mean, Leah and I and loaded up car with the dog and all that, we'd run 150, 160, and
Nice
she'd
cruising speed.
tap on my knee a little bit when she's like, "That's about enough of that." And we'd back it down to 130. And that was that was an acceptable cruising altitude.
You have 2 race car drivers in the
I'm
90 is sitting still.
Well, I mean, if you don't run that fast, you're going to get tired and drive off the road because you're falling asleep because there's nothing
Got to have
going
something
on.
to get your mind keep going.
And there's not a lot of traffic on it. It's really,
Yep.
so it just invites you to be stupid. Of
course.
And I'm more than willing to accommodate. But we got the newborn care specialist in the back seat. She's sitting behind Leah. Leah is Goodyear blimp, and we're cruising at a modest 124 miles an hour. And we've been doing this for 30 minutes, and I'm like, oh no, this newborn care specialist probably going to turn me into Child Protective Services.
Freaking out back there.
And so I'm like, hey, Lauren, I said, just so you know, when Dom comes, I said, I won't drive like this.
Except on the way home from the hospital.
just for a little
No,
bit.
this is my dumbass not thinking.
He's still kind of there.
She leans over Lee and goes, he's right there.
Really?
If he's inside of a human.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
he's in an airbag.
I mean,
he's fine. He'll be fine.
Protective barrier.
So it's like,
Better than a Hans.
yeah, way better. I mean, any angle, we got him covered basically. So he's in a big water balloon. He's swimming around there going, man, life's great in here. It's a little dark, but
Yeah.
it's all right. So I still can't believe we've kept him alive this long. He's 17 months old and he's doing great. And
yeah, you're in the clear now.
we're just waiting until he can change his own diaper or feed
Dang, a
himself
couple
and
more
do all the
years.
stuff. So I can't screw this up at this point. So
You're talking about your wife, like, you know, how focused she was. Like, you got to get to the track. My wife's very. She's not super sympathetic, right? My wife is very.
it's not because she worked at the shoe shop.
No. She
We're on lap 4 of that, by the way.
she drugged me out. I didn't drag her out. All right, so that's she's very kind, but when it comes to the children, right, or me inside the household, this is she's very much, you rub some fucking dirt on it, right? You'll be fine. There's a window. There's like a 6 to 7 month window when they were newborns, right? The second one, not as much, but the first one, okay, new mom, I'm going to take some advice. We're going to do this. We're going to worry about stuff. Once it gets to a certain point, once there's like a little bit of movement and crawling, at that point, the switch flipped, and it's like, you'll be fine. I don't know. It's like, maybe we should call somebody. And then she turns on me like, what are you, fucking pussy? No, he'll be fine. Like, he's fine. Yeah, it seems like he's been crying for a while. I think he may be sick or whatever. He'll be fine. Okay. And then they've turned out to be fine. They got 21 and 22 and 19. So
I'm 0 for 3 on the walk it offs.
yeah, you
I've got walk it off with my son twice. Once was a broken arm. Once was 6 or 8 stitches in the back of his leg from the dirt bike. And the walk it off with my daughter was a broken hand.
yeah.
And I'm like, guys, walk it off.
Yeah,
Like,
but it can't. If it's broke, he literally
So-
can't walk.
Get that from Dad, I think.
what's that?
Get that from Dad.
Yeah. So there is a point where you have to sort of identify that, like, this kid's hurt.
I believe thoroughly that I can hold my breath underwater for 8, maybe 10 minutes straight. Because as soon as he got off of 4 and onto 2, you immediately hold your breath. And knock on wood, this kid is a champion so far on the walking and running stuff. And you know, they get walking around and they look like, I'm like, bud, this is 3 o'clock at the bar. You should have stopped drinking 2, maybe 3 hours ago. And then they go from that.
And then leading with the head.
Yeah. But think about this. I mean, look how big their fucking head is at that age. As soon as that head gets going somewhere, the feet gotta follow.
Everything else is following, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
if not, we're going. So you're watching that, and every time it's hold your breath, because it's the edge of this table and this chair and that thing and this pot on this, and it's like, oh my God. And I mean, literally, 9 o'clock, I'm in bed exhausted. Yeah. And I haven't done a damn thing but watch. But then he starts running barefoot. And again, it's like, you probably had 1 or 2 too many, but you're doing all right. But he's not going down. He's just, and his run is literally 1/10 of a mile an hour faster than his walk is, but his legs are going like hell, it seems like. It's just like a short stroke motor. It's like it's going to make RPM, but we're really not going to make any speed. So then you get shoes on him, and it's like, oh, here we go. We're going to start stubbing toes, and tripping on the edge of the shoe and all that. And same thing. He's just cruising along, and I literally can say I've seen him fall down running or walking about 4 times. How this kid has done this, I have no idea. Because his mom can't even pick up a hairbrush and hold on to it for 30 seconds without dropping it on the floor. But he's going to be
an athlete.
He's a champ, man. But we've got all kinds of stuff for him to ride on. My dad, his grandfather, got him an electric Jeep that has the remote, so you can sit there behind him and drive him around, and he loves that. But wants to sit there and try to spin the tires and adjust the mirror outside of it. I'm like, this kid's going to be a crew chief or a mechanic. He's going to work on stuff, because everything you give him before he puts it in his mouth, he's looking at it, and you see the eyebrows and all that, and he's trying to figure it out. And I'm like, this kid already is smarter than me, because I already would have put it in my mouth. I don't know what it is, but he's already figuring this stuff out. So I don't know. Everybody wants to know if he's going to race, and I'm like, man, I hope he wants to pick up a golf club or a set of Mac tools or something. That's if he doesn't want to drive, none of us except for his grandfather is going to be pissed off. So
we got standard questions. We're going to change the standard questions up just a little bit, because first up, your most memorable law enforcement interaction story.
Sounds like there's many.
Yeah, we may have to put that to the last question. I may have to sit on this.
Okay, think about it a little bit.
Well, I will tell you this. I don't even know if I should say this, but my most recent interactions have come within the last 3 weeks.
Oh.
Boris said and I are good friends, and we ran a sports car race, and he hooked me up with a doctor on the north side of San Diego, and I went down to get stem cells, because I have neck problems, back problems from years of racing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, racing won't do that, but the crashes will get to you. And so I got hooked up with the doctor, and I had an appearance, got done with my appearance, had this doctor's appointment. I have no window for error to get down there. And again, West Coast traffic, you could give the state of California 20 lanes each direction, and they will fuck it up.
Yeah,
100%.
Agreed.
And create an entire rolling roadblock. And so I am in a Dodge TRX truck, and I am doing some driver shit.
Mm-hmm. You got a place
going on. And did not get the radar detector that, I guess, I didn't know this, but Leah said it's illegal in California, which I'm glad I didn't get it out, because I would have just got another ticket for this. But I'm in the diamond lane, carpool lane, carpooling myself.
It's go fast lane.
To this, it's not the go fast lane. It's to go out there and park and enjoy the scenery lane, like the other 8 lanes to the right of that are. And I'm weaving in and out, and I go under an overpass, and on the other side of said overpass is Officer Poncherello.
Mm.
And when I see him put his hands on the bars, I immediately...
He's been on the force for a while.
Yeah, he's still an asshole, by the way, too. So, but enough that he never got out of first gear and just idled his way up to me. I wasn't but about 100 yards from him when I got stopped, and so there were. He gave me a break on the diamond lane. He did not give me he did give me a break on my speed. I won't divulge what that was, but it was excessive, and he did cut me some slack on that. So now I'm sitting there looking at the clock and looking at the GPS going, I just lost 5 minutes. And
Make it up.
now I got to work a little harder.
Yeah.
And
You shouldn't have pulled me over. Now I got to speed more.
thus is the next 5 minutes later, I get round 2.
Oh, no.
5 minutes.
From him?
5 minutes from him.
Oh, shit.
But I'm not 5 miles from him either. And if they did the math, it's not going to add up quite correctly. But this guy is in
Tony leaves Indiana.
Yeah.
Driving 62 miles an hour.
Train
an
B.
hour and a half later.
yeah, in southern Indiana. They're going to go ahead and give you a passing grade on this math.
He's a little
equation.
more agitated on round 2.
No. Oddly enough, no. But what I didn't realize is that in my haste of getting back to my regularly scheduled programming, I laid it looked like the ticket looked like it came out of the cash register at the grocery store. And you've had 2 full carts.
Okay.
That's how long this was. So I've got it laying on the seat, and I've pulled over again in the same lane. I was not in that lane when he got me, but I was closer that way than I was the other way, and so I eased over there and got way off the road. That got me some brownie points because I got far enough off the road to take care of him. He is halfway to my car from his car, and I realized the ticket is laying there like a invitation or the registry book at a wedding when you walk in. It's right in front of your face. And I'm like, oh, shit. I scoop that thing up, wad it up like it's going in the trash, cram it in the cup holder, sunglass, soft case over top of that, and cram a Coke over top of that. It's conceal the evidence. So anyway, I get both of those out and send photos to management back in the East Coast and said, Houston, we have a problem. In the meantime, I'm still got to go back down here and get back on the job. And so went right back to our regularly scheduled program and dodged the rest of the bullets and got there 5 minutes late, which didn't get me in trouble with the doctor's office, but made for a hell of a story when I had to skip team dinner because I was a little late coming back up there, and I was not willing to go for the trifecta on that trip to come back to Pomona.
They just need it's California. They got bad budget.
Bills to pay.
Just needs a donation to the state patrol.
When you get pulled over, they give you anything when your name comes up. They bust your balls about.
Apparently, in the state of California, the law enforcement officers have no clue about anything motorsports and who those motorsports individuals
Makes
are.
sense. They're disconnected from the world.
Go anywhere in the other 49 states, and it rings a bell. But they were. And they were very nice, by the way. They weren't rude. It wasn't that situation at all. But they were to business, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
anywhere else, I'd imagine there's a case to be made that
I can drive that fast.
Given your experience, you're probably safer at higher speeds. Is what I would. I might argue that.
I would like
if
to
I were
believe
you.
that as well. I feel like that's a reasonable statement. I did have one guy in the Midwest that pulled me over, and he said license and registration, and he's talking to me, and I've got my head pointed to the glove box where registration and proof of insurance are, and he said, "Who do you think you are, Tony Stewart?" And I said,
Fucking
nope.
damn right.
No, I'm Anthony Stewart, though. And I handed him my license and turned around, and he's just handed it back to me, and he goes, "Yeah, you just take it easy." He goes, "By the way, my buddy's 5 miles down the road, so make sure before you get there."
How many times is that going to be? Like,
That's pretty
awesome. Well, shit.
One time, literally one time in this whole thing. And I couldn't stop laughing, and I bet I called 20 people before I even got to that 5 miles down the road to the next
fucking
guy. And
hilarious.
I waved to him when I went by because I know he's on the phone with this guy.
Yeah.
And so I just waved when I went by. But I'd called 20 of my buddies. I'm like, "You are not going to believe what just happened." I said, it was one of the coolest moments of my life. So,
Holy shit. That is good. Favorite car movie?
Smokey and the Bandit, hands down.
Hell yeah. And see,
Nothing comes close. And only one.
Days of
Two and
Thunder?
only one.
Days of Thunder?
No. The cars never got that dirty. They never hit each other that hard. If you hit each other that hard, everybody was going to the NASCAR hauler after it was over to get reprimanded.
I've said it and again, not having raced I like watching Days of Thunder because of the nostalgia and everything about the movie. But Talladega Nights is more correct to NASCAR than Days of Thunder.
True. But I will say this. I told Richard Freeman, who I drive for on the Top Fuel side, that I said, when we win our first race, I said, I want it to be like the scene of Days of Thunder where they ride in the trailer on the way home and they get pulled over.
Yes.
And I threw a little detail. We'll tell you the rest of the details of what my request was for this. But I said this 48 hours before we won our first race, and we were all flying home anyway, so it didn't not applicable. So I'm hoping somewhere we will make this right and honor my request here.
Let's see. Next
it gets
up.
way worse, by the way.
I want to hear. That's what I'm excited about.
And there's a follow-up story that I definitely am not going to tell right now that I'm more than willing to share, but it will.
It's an off-air one, huh?
It's absolutely off-air, and I might have to confiscate cell phones and stuff.
We can do that. No problem.
It's black.
Let's see. Next up. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Sometimes you have to slow down to go faster. And that was tire management. That was on dirt. You can't just hold it wide open and it's not going to go faster. The further you push the pedal, it's just going to spin the tires more. You have to keep the tires relatively hooked up. You can have wheel spin, and you need to keep the car rotating, but sometimes you have to slow down to go faster.
Is that life advice or just racing advice?
That is just racing advice. Okay. There hasn't been any life advice that's remotely registered. I didn't
know if that was like real deep or if that was
no. This was from a guy that wasn't that deep in general, but that was he had driven sprint cars and Silver Crown cars and midgets, and I was in the TQ ranks, and he was at a race, and I was not doing a very good job of throttle control, which was used to go-karts, and
sure.
You get wide open, you're wide open, and it was not the hot ticket for driving the car I was driving.
What's left motorsports or racing or driving, being behind the wheel of, that you haven't done that you want to do?
That's an excellent question. The hard part is I really don't have the answer, because none of this, everything that you read and everything stat-wise in my career, none of it was part of a master plan, ever. I never was, this is what I want to do. I want to go NASCAR racing, or I want to go IndyCar racing. I literally said when I was in TQ midgets, I said, if I can get a job driving a sprint car and make enough money to support myself, that's my lifelong dream, is just to be able to support myself driving dirt cars.
So if a door opens, you go through it.
Yeah, opportunities would come and you would take it and be relatively successful for it, and then that expanded, and then another opportunity opened up because of that, and another opportunity, and it's like the business world. You just keep going up the ladder, but
yeah.
The ladder was like a tree. It's like it wasn't just a straight line up to the top of something. It was up this way, and then you try something over here, and you're running something over here, and at the end of it, it's this nice, big, beautiful tree with a lot of cool shit going on. So,
any motorsport interests you just for fun, like Baja stuff, powerboat stuff?
I jokingly told people back in the day, they were like, what's next? I said, well, there's two things I haven't done that I want to do. I said, I want to run a swamp buggy down in Florida, and I want to run a figure-8 car at the Indy Speedrome.
No.
Run the 3-hour World Championship figure-8 race. I've broke my back 4 times. Figure-8 stuff's I'm not willing to miss it in the crossover. And even though I feel like I legitimately can hold my breath for 8 to 10 minutes, I don't feel like a swamp buggy's necessarily in my best interest.
I haven't heard anybody bring up a swamp buggy since like the late 80s.
Diamond P Sports, babe.
Yeah.
Watch it on Sunday afternoon. You're
yeah.
The Nashville
that looks like fun.
TNN, man. When I grew up, it was the Nashville network.
Yeah.
And it was the swamp
Sippy Hill.
Yeah. But the producers were Diamond P Sports
Is that what
on CNN. That was we were on the same show.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah,
I thought those were cool. It's weird because there's always new things coming, and literally, like I said, the week before we went to Pomona, I won in a Porsche 911 GT3 car with Boris Said, and I didn't think I would ever do that. That's a car I had never raced, and it was a club race. It wasn't like there were 20 heavy hitters there. There were 3 cars. My teammate Boris Said was one of them, and he had a problem where he would have annihilated me. He is a master in a sports car. He had trouble and finished third. One of the other 2 guys broke, and his brother that was 16 years old. They were in TA2 cars, so they're lighter cars, more horsepower. But that kid, I got the lead, and that kid was running me down, and he made one mistake and went off and couldn't run me back down after that. So I was telling somebody, I said, you know anybody that's ever won a sports car race and a week later won a Top Fuel dragster race?
You'll start checking.
Laughing about it. I'm like, that's
No.
pretty cool. So, I don't know.
The disciplines.
But they're just, as time goes on, there's new forms of motorsports that keep coming up. And,
Yeah.
you know, Ken Block was a big guy in rally cross and World Rally and all that stuff. And his daughter Leah is a great driver. She does awesome in it.
Yeah.
I would like to try rally a little bit. The only thing that scares me about that is you go off, there's trees on both sides.
It's hairy looking
Trees and
cliffs
and shit.
rocks and
It's not tires. It's
it's ow.
That's a wild form of motorsports. It's when you look at the in-car cam, it looks like the reaction times in that seem crazy, like F1 level. You know, just from a spectator, from a fan, you know, it looks crazy.
I feel like I'd
discipline it
struggle.
takes.
I think I would genuinely struggle in it because the person sitting next to you is like having my wife ride with me. The whole time I'm driving,
Yeah.
she's talking.
Yeah.
But they're telling you what's coming.
Right.
And
you have
how
to listen.
fast you can do it, and you've got to process it. And I've perfected the art of, I don't hear anything she says until she says, that's strike 3. That's the one thing I absolutely hear loud and clear. Strike 3, pull over, we're switching.
It's soft, right?
Yeah.
right 3, left 4.
Right.
It remains so.
I don't think
Like,
I
yeah, we're
couldn't,
not in turn 3. We're not in turn 4, man. I don't know where we're going here. So
I couldn't process the audio and the visual and trying to figure out what
Exactly.
you want to do versus what they're telling you. And
that's exactly what my concept is too, is it would take a lot of work, and no different than trying to learn a different form of motorsports like drag racing. I don't know how long it would take me to be able to listen, think, and execute all at the same time. So
If you could go back and race any race over again, knowing what you know now, one race, what would it be?
I would love to say one of the Indy 500s, probably the 98 Indy 500, but that's not the one I'm going to pick in this scenario. I was leading the Daytona. Well, there were 2 Daytona 500s that I was in contention for. The first one that came to mind was on a restart late. I was leading the race, and this is when the lead lap cars were on the inside and the lead lap cars were on the outside. And I was leading the race. Jeff Gordon was second, and the guys would sit there, and when we would take off, we would signal to each other when we're going, so we all stayed together. And Jeff Gordon pulled one of the coolest moves on me that I was so mad about. And then after a while, when I got thinking about it, I'm like, the only person I really need to be mad at is myself on this scenario. And I had my hand out the window, and I'm like, okay, go. And I took off, and Jeff went 1,001, 1,002, and he took off. And I got this gap on him, and it was like all you had to listen to in the headset was choo-choo. And the whole train came by me, and not only did Jeff go by, but half of the entire field went by me before I got gathered up and got back in line. And he was just smart. It was like saying, here, I don't want to lead this race. You go ahead and win. and I was just doing kind of what I was trying to still do what everybody else was doing. And I just didn't even think about the fact that I just literally set myself up for failure right there. That's one that got away. The other one is Kurt Busch and I were the dominant cars in a Daytona 500 later on. And this was not a NASCAR pit road speeding penalty. This was a transponder. I got caught speeding in one of the segments and had to go to the back. And my car in the back in the pack was really tight. And so over the course of 2 pit stops, we kept freeing my car up. And I got back up to the front and got ahead of Kurt. Now my car is too free in clean air and has got the nose pinned, and now I'm loose. And unfortunately for Kurt and myself, we were in 3 and 4, and at that time of the day, the sun is right in your eyes, right in the center of 3 and 4, and I got a little bit loose, and Kurt was right behind me anyway, and I don't even know if the sun bothered him or not, but there was no way he couldn't hit me, and it hit me, I wrecked, and he wrecked. I took us both out of it, and we were by far the 2 best cars all day. One of the 2 of us was going to win it, and that was one of the 500s that got away as well.
Racing that over again, exactly like you just said on that one, would you have not freed it up as much and just had to drive through?
If I would have had the crystal ball of saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to get to the lead, and when I do, my balance is going to be too loose, absolutely. Now, I don't...
Could you have gotten...
Exactly. That's the question of how much did you have to do what you needed to do to get there.
Right.
I mean, my balance was perfect on the way up, but then when I got there and got in clean air, it was over the top. And I don't know. That's the hard part, is you just don't know what to do in that scenario. If I had to do it all over again, it's like, you can't be that free when you get to the lead, but if you're a little tighter, are you going to be able to get back to the front? So
that's wild. The chest.
It haunts my dreams.
I would have to imagine, like you said, the things that, and then the next race, and then, okay, we're going to do this a different rate. Because I learned this from this race, we're going to do this a little differently. But that race is completely different, and the circumstances are completely different. So then it's always the chase of the, well, what about this? Well, last time when we were at this track, we did this. Let's go to this. Well, this setting sucks. Who said that this setup was going to be good?
Yeah.
'Cause this shit sucks.
Well, technology's surpassed it, and now there's been 3 tricks since then. They're way better. But the thing that was the saving grace for Kurt and I in that deal was when Kurt drove for us at Stewart-Haas, and Kurt won the Daytona 500. I was on the pit box. My other 3 cars are wrecked. I'm on Kurt's pit box. Kurt's been in a wreck, but he's still going, and he ends up winning the Daytona 500. I'm on the pit box, and I remember leaning up to him. I said, I'm so happy for you. I said, I'm not happy for me. I'm happy for you, because I took you and I out of an opportunity to win this race years ago. And I didn't win this race. You won this race, but we won it.
That's cool.
Made up for this together as a team. And I've never forgot that, and he's never forgot that.
That's really wild. When you think about drivers and who you've interacted with, and interactions with the press, and saying exactly what you want to say, which is really the most funniest parts. And has there ever been a time, I know because of who you are, the answer is going to be absolutely not, but was there ever a time in life, sponsor deal, personal relationship, anything like that, that you had to make the thought of, like, maybe this, like, saying whatever comes to my mind, I should think about that?
Multiple times, actually, believe it or not. But one of the things my dad, when he was raising me, he said, always fight for what you believe in, and fight for it. And so, again, those things that I thought I was right on, I thought through them before I said what I said, but there was a better way to handle the situation in the big picture than how I handled it. What I was saying was right, but in the big picture of how it affected the wake behind the boat. You're looking ahead and you're going and trudging along.
Yeah.
What you don't see is the wake behind the boat and the carnage that goes with that wake. And that's the stuff that I did not see at the time. And finally, it took a while to learn that.
Yeah.
Think about this a little more, because it's not only going to affect me. I mean, I was affecting people that I loved and cared about, and that were teammates and crew chiefs and sponsors that cared about me too. And what I'm saying is still right, but I'm affecting these people in a negative way. So
yeah, 100% understand. Do you also, like, again, not to do a mind fuck, but just like the racing thing.
Good luck, by the way. I'm professional in this category, so, as you were.
Is it like a younger you that you're looking at right now?
A rookie. Yeah, it's like a rookie version.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm going to keep fighting.
I honestly feel like Dale Earnhardt sitting over here going, all right,
Okay,
kid, let's see what you got. Yeah.
I mean, because I mean, we've talked about it on this podcast. I similarly just, if you're thinking something, you're passionate about something, just say it, right? I would much rather ask for forgiveness, right? Or then down the road be like, man, I should have stood up for the opinion that I had, right? But just like you were talking about with racing and rerunning that race again, and you could have freed it up less, left it a little tighter, but you might not have get to that position. Right. If you didn't say some of the things in life, would you be even in this situation? Now, you can learn for going ahead and try things a little differently, but thinking that you should have done something differently is saying that you don't like where you're at.
I think what I learned in the process was there's still those moments where I'm going to fight and dig for what I believe in, but there has to be a reason and a goal for that. There has to be something that you're trying to achieve for it. To just have an opinion, and I just said this in an interview the other day. I said, we're in this era with social media, and everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to tell you with their thoughts. And what the amazing thing is, I get called this and that online, and you go to the racetrack, and I've never had one person walk up and say any of the stuff that they say on the internet. Not one person will walk up and say it, because they're big pussies.
Right.
They're living in their mom's basement.
Or they'd have to wheel up.
Mom, make me some.
We talk about we talk about that a lot on here.
And that's the stuff that pisses me off. It's like, if you really feel that way, at least have the balls to come up and say it, and be ready to have a civilized conversation and say, why do you have that opinion?
Uh-huh.
And I can about guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it's because of what they've seen or read or heard a soundbite of, and they've made their judgment off of that. And that's not wrong. It's not. I mean, all of us are guilty of the same thing. Everything that we see, hear, and make opinions about are 100% of the information we have. The problem is that 100% of the information, most of the time in the big picture, is 10% of the reality of the entire situation.
Yeah.
But you can't blame those people for that. They are only basing their decision off of the information they have. So part of it, they're not wrong on.
Right.
But there's more to it. There's always more to it that lead up to it, and that frame that picture the rest of the way.
I think that that piece of advice right there that you gave is one of the most important things, even from this entire podcast. You said is there has to be a reason, a greater good, a more than just
an opinion,
or knowing that you're right. Because being right and proving that you're right
doesn't
for
matter.
no positive outcome doesn't matter.
Does not matter one bit.
Right. It's just to
and
prove
even when
that
there's times
you're right.
that I really wanted to fight for something. What I was fighting for was this big, and what I was
Sacrificing or
potentially
risking
was this big, and I'm like, this isn't worth this. So there's times when I just will bite my tongue about it and let it go, and it's the right way to handle it. I feel like when that equation is equal, we're greater.
Then go
Absolutely, hammer down. Let's go for it. And if you don't like it, tough shit. But this is how I feel about it. I won't just say this is how I feel about it. This is why I feel that way. It's no different than people saying, "Oh, I hate this and I hate that." I get tired of reading on I bring out all the trash, all the trashy people on social media. I bring those guys out in groves. I mean, I'm like the Pied Piper.
Southern Indiana.
Some of my best friends are trashy too.
Says Alabama.
Yeah.
I had to get one in.
Southern Indiana is like North Alabama sometimes, depending on what county of Indiana you're in. But it's literally about just trying to figure out what is truly the right way to handle it, and always thinking about the big picture. I mean, it's a lot better perspective for me now because I organically have a wife and a child that everything I say and do is going to fall on those two people, whether they want it or not. They're not asking for this, but because of me and because of my voice and because of my opinions, it's going to affect them. I mean, I think about, is my son going to go to school and some kid's going to go up to him and say, "Your dad's an asshole because he said this on Sunday after he lost a round." And so I genuinely think that. And one of the things that the people ask me in conversation is, if you could go back and change one thing, what would you change? And I would have been nicer to people. And I say that from the standpoint that what I didn't know in the majority of my professional racing career was balance. Balance in my life. Not just my professional life, my personal life. I didn't have balance. When I met Leah, I didn't always like what we did, and things that we did in our off time versus our professional life. There's things that I wanted to be hammered down and doing this and doing that. And there were times she just wanted to not do anything. And I'm like, we're not getting younger. My whole life's been hammered down all the time. And she's like, yeah, we can't live like that. And it took a while, but I have started learning balance in my life. And that made not only the personal side better, it made the professional side better. Now you add another element to it with Dominic, and I was that guy that whether I had a girlfriend or not, it did not matter. I mean, the racing was number one. Girlfriend was a distant second, and everything else was underneath that. I mean, distant second to racing. So, moral of the story of that is Sunday, if I had a bad day, bad race, not only myself, but everybody around me, the closest people around me suffered the most from
Felt
it
the wrath.
until the next Sunday, till I had a chance to redeem it. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Until I could redeem that for the next 7 days, everybody in my circle and everybody outside the circle was potential collateral damage. That's the way I lived as a professional race car driver. I wore my heart on my sleeve. If I screwed up, even when I won races, there were times I was mad when I went home because I knew I could have done a better job, or I made a mistake that could have cost us the race and we made it by. So now with Dominic, you get done at, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. You'll get done at, we might go, perfect example. We raced Charlotte last weekend. 2 qualifying runs Friday, doesn't go down the racetrack. And Friday night is what we call the money round. It's cool. It's at night. Conditions are the best they're going to be the whole weekend. And we don't get down. That's going to set at least the top half of the field for sure. And we don't get down the racetrack. We don't get down in Q1. We don't get down in Q2. Go to the hotel and I'm all right. Come back Saturday. Q3. We got 4 rounds. 2 on Saturday now. Q3 doesn't go down the racetrack. We're on the bump spot to not even make the race if somebody bumps us out at this point. Q4, we go down and put a respectable run down and bump ourselves from the 16th up to 12th, and we're in the show. But that normally, I would have been, every guy on the team on Sunday when I got to the racetrack would have been on edge if that would have been 8, 10, 12 years ago. And now I went in there Friday night after we didn't get down second run, and you want to be frustrated because you're like, well, we definitely aren't going to be in the upper half of the field, so we're not going to have lane choice on Sunday, and we're backing ourselves in a corner. And I walk in the hospitality trailer, and Dominic's up there in the lounge and looks up at me and points, Dada. Those 2 runs didn't mean shit anymore.
Yeah.
And
I didn't care.
I never had that balance. I mean, everything hinged on performance of myself in that race car. That was my temperature gauge. That was my demeanor. That was my life. And you get married and you have a wife that helps create balance. You have a son that sits there and changes your perspective on everything. And I can promise you, in timing wise, I mean, I don't feel like it's ideal to be, I'll be 55 next month, and I'm like, it's not ideal to have a 1-year-old son at 55 necessarily, but it's truly the right time for me to do it.
Sure.
Now I wish the benefits that I've learned in the last 17 months of my life, I wish I could take those benefits back 25, 30 years and have that balance and sit there and go, I have no idea. I feel like I would have been a better race car driver than I am now.
It's worked out the way it's supposed to work out.
I agree. And that's why I say timing wise,
it is.
It's the way it needed to be. But you said it again.
Yeah.
Should I have been a little tighter, or
I know.
would it have been the same?
Yeah.
It's the same scenario, but I am in the best place emotionally in my entire life. So the one thing, again, that I would have go back and changed is I would not have let performance on the racetrack control my emotions as much as it did. I would have been nicer to people. And I say that to a degree that when Leah decided to step out of the car and we did the announcement that we were working on starting a family, I read social media because I wanted to know what the drag. I don't know the drag racing fans and the drag racing space, so I wanted to get the temperature of it. And day after day, I kept reading, and there were a couple people, and there's a handful, maybe a dozen people that are on my list of people that I'd love to have face-to-face conversation with. Sure. But one in particular struck a nerve, and I sent him a direct message, and I said, I'm picking up what you're putting down loud and clear. I said, have we met before, or have we not met? And if we did meet, did I do something? And I said, to be honest, if we have met, I'm pretty sure you have a reason to be upset, but I'm just curious what that scenario was. The last person that I saw before I went to the airport to fly to Glendale when my wife was getting ready to deliver Dominic was that person. Met that person, invited him to the track, gave him hospitality passes, and talked to that guy every race week.
Wow.
Since. And him and his wife had a bad experience with me. You aren't going to believe this. In Virginia.
You got to be kidding me.
Virginia's a wild fucking state for you.
And I can almost probably pick the situation of when it happened. I don't know for sure because it's just impossible to know.
This was a fan at the time.
A fan and his wife and a group of fans. And I was so pissed off at the balance of our race car and how we were running that I absolutely just unloaded on everybody. And, you know, they wanted what all NASCAR fans want. They want an autograph, and you're walking between the garage and the race trailer, and they're going to get their autographs. And I wasn't having it. And so I've reached out to multiple people. And actually, I haven't met another one, but had a conversation with one. And his was a little more in-depth about a different scenario that's a lot more touchy and harder hitting than the scenario I just gave. But his opinion, and he changed his tone a little bit, but then he kind of reverted back to it. And I said, you know, we're 10 years ago, I would want to meet you in a Walmart parking lot at 2 a.m. and we'd sort this out. But I'm in a different place now, and I respect your opinion on it. But we are 100% going to disagree and have to agree to disagree on what you think and what I know the reality is. We're going to agree to disagree on it. And that's, for me, that was a big step to do that.
What do you other than surely having a wife and a new child, what else do you attribute that to? Like, how did you shift yourself mentally, personally?
I don't know that I did that. I would love to give you some professional, psychological, really cool answer. I think at just some point I finally grew up.
Okay.
Honestly. I mean, it's all right to don't want to be late to the party in this category, but that's just the way it worked out. I think I just finally grew up and finally, like I said, had enough structure in my life that truly changed my perspective more than I thought it would, and brought an element into my life that I didn't realize I was missing that.
That's cool.
I feel like so honored to even like hear this part of the story, because you can see it like in interviews, right? But you don't, again, you're seeing the 10%. The 100% we're seeing is the 10%, right? But you can see the change in answering questions, happiness, joyful stuff. Sometimes I would attribute it like, well, you don't have the same, stress level he was putting on himself before, but you still got the same stress. You're approaching it in a different way. You're a completely different interaction with, the outside world is completely different than it was.
I 100% agree. I mean, I spent, Charlotte's a hard race weekend for us on the drag race side because you have all the NASCAR fans. I mean, that's the most die-cast and baseball cards I signed the entire years at Charlotte.
Yeah.
You like going 4 wide?
I love it.
Really?
Because there's an element of chaos to it.
Okay.
It's surrounded my life if we haven't
going to go wrong.
figured that
It's
out.
going to go real wrong.
But I mean, every chance that I had, I mean, there's crew guys from teams and some of them from my own team, crew chiefs that are retired.
That's a busy one then.
That come and want to spend time and visit. And but every moment that I had available that I could go sign, I signed. I never just went and sat in the lounge and took 5 minutes to myself and took a breath. From the time I got to the track till the time I left to go to the hotel each night, I worked the entire time. And you're there to drive a car less than 8 seconds. And you are working a full-time job nonstop from the time you get there till the time you leave. And I think people don't truly understand that. But it's not their responsibility to understand that either. But it's for us to deal with. And I told Leah Sunday, I said, I felt it's one of the best weekends I had at the racetrack, and didn't win the race. I made the finals, but it didn't have anything to do with driving the race car. It was how I managed 3 failed qualifying attempts with 1 attempt on the table. It was, I would say, over 50% of it was the amount of fun I actually had with fans at the track.
Wild.
And I normally want to be accommodating, and part of what still gets me in trouble to this day, and I have a lot of room to finish growing in this category, But one of the things that I get in trouble is the law of supply and demand. And the lines clear out to here, and I know that I look over my shoulder and I can tell where they're at in the service of the car. And we got to warm that thing up as soon as they're done. And I know we're 5 minutes, maybe 10 out, and I know that how many people there are, and I can't get that many people done in that. So I am rushing to try to accommodate everybody. And then there's people that will mistake that as I don't give a shit because I'm sign in hand. The reality of it is I'm trying to accommodate everybody,
right?
And I physically can't do it.
Right.
And this past weekend was the first time that I literally just went a person at a time, and if they just wanted something signed and a photo, taken with them, and they walked off, so be it. If they had a question, sign, what's your question? Looked them in the eye and listened to their question and did my best to answer it. Didn't rush, knowing that I may not be able to get through the line, but I just took time, the time of whatever they asked for, within reason.
Yeah.
And I told Lee, I said, that's the best weekend I had. I truly believe in my entire career that was the best weekend I had interacting with race fans.
Holy shit.
And I'm like starting to figure out my flow of how this is supposed to be.
It's cool.
It took a long damn time to get here, and I'm going to have an off day where I'm struggling and pressured for this or that or running behind on schedule and can't accommodate everything. And I'm going to have my moment where I'm going to stub my toe again, and I'm going to have to read about it on the internet the next day. But at least the good thing is I know I'm trying. I'm making an effort. I'm consciously trying every day when we go to the track to be the best race car driver I can be, the best husband I can be, the best team owner I can be to my two teams, and the best I can be to my team that I'm driving for and our fans. And trying to create that balance that I'm learning is happening in my life of how to balance it at the racetrack as well. So it's never going to perfect it, but at least the effort's going into it. And there were people that actually made comments going, wow, it's not how you used to be. And I'm like, yeah, you get me out of the cancerous environment of NASCAR. And that's part of it. That was part of it, was getting me out of NASCAR, getting me out of an environment that I was not happy in.
Yep.
And getting me to a different scenario. And I genuinely enjoy being around the people. I enjoy talking to our fans. I had fun listening to people's stories. Like I was sitting down at a table with you guys, and I'm like, shit, at some point I got to drive a race car here. I literally have to go take at least 5 minutes to change and get in my uniform to go make this run here, and I'm going to be late. But I really like listening to this guy or this lady's story.
That's cool.
And
the takeaway is just get
fun.
on Instagram and tell a story about you and your wife Linda 25 years ago pissed off, and you might maybe get some pit padding, pit passes and stuff like that. Get some FaceTime.
You might get a DM back.
That was your takeaway from all this?
My wife, the collateral damage of that was my wife. My wife was sitting there. I sat there. I had, when that happened, I had shoulder surgery. Had just had shoulder surgery. So literally could not even sleep in our own bed. Slept in a recliner. Couldn't do anything. I'm left-handed. It was my left shoulder. Can't do anything.
Labrum or rotator cuff?
Both. It started with labrum and
So
was diagnosed as a small tear. Supposedly, the NHRA doctor is the one that did the surgery. And I remember the last thing I told him before he went to get scrubbed up and I went into the room to go, hey, honk, was I said, hey, you get in there and there's anything else wrong. I said, don't screw around, fix it. Don't sit there and wake me up and say, hey, there's this and this that's wrong too, but we didn't talk about it, so I can't do it. I said, you see anything else in there, get it fixed. We got that relationship with each other. And he woke me up, or when I woke up, he was standing there and he had a grin on his face, and I'm like, hey. He goes, you had a yard sale going on. The labrum was almost completely torn. I was in about a real bad way. My rotator cuff had a massive dent in it that we tracked back to IndyCar crash at Las Vegas in '96. That was a 114 G hit. It was the spike of it. I broke my shoulder blade, collarbone, back of my left hip, and pelvis in that crash.
Ooh.
And had bone spurs up there as well. So he goes, yeah, you had a yard sale going on. I said, and we knew time frame wise that this was going to get us right at the beginning of testing for the next season. And I said, what's that do to our time frame? He goes, it doesn't change anything. I'm like, thank God.
Wow.
So
The what's the next race? What's coming up?
We run Valdosta, Georgia this weekend, have a weekend off, and then we come to the first race as a top fuel dragster driver that I am the defending race winner at, which is Joliet here again.
Joliet.
Right on.
The 15th through the 17th of May.
That's the Gerber collision race, isn't it?
That is.
Minus the collision, hopefully.
Yeah. We should go down.
What else are you going to do?
We should just go down and see the
Yeah,
race.
right.
That's what we're going to do.
We'll
That's
be
what I'm
there.
Yeah. I think
The good thing
we can
is
make
you
that
have a
happen.
connection with NHRA, and they can literally take you 15 feet from the back of the car when I hit the gas, which will most likely
sweet.
make you
Insane.
wish that in whatever you brought to the track included a extra pair of underwear.
You see, you got to do it in Vegas.
I had to do it with Jesse James with
Alexis.
Yeah.
wild experience. I was trying to be like cool and tough, and I'm like, hey, it's nothing. Like, and I'm fucking tearing. You know, the
Yeah,
nitro
the
it
fumes.
just
Sure.
kills you. But wild experience, man. I mean,
And here's the sad thing, because if you're going to truly go back, which I believe
Yes.
you will, and I'm
Yeah.
going to hold you to the flame on it, that doesn't change on the fumes. It doesn't matter how many years you've been a part of that sport.
Still
you
burns.
can't. Yeah, I feel like you can't tough that out. Like, that's
No,
just a thing,
oh God,
right?
no. When we do the warm up, I sit in the car with a mask on, a respirator on,
Yeah.
because I have to do everything correctly in that car during that warm up, and I can't sit there and go, "Hey, we got to stop. I can't breathe. I'm choking. Blah blah blah." And I'm stuck in that car, so I have to wear a respirator. But I watch crew guys that are sitting there and they can't hardly finish their job during the warm up because they're choking and
It's rough.
eyes watering and all that. But it's something that you need to experience. It's part of the experience of going to the drag races. It sounds really brutal and mean and all that, but it's not. It's part of the experience of sitting there and
Rite of
seeing
passage.
nitro. Exactly. That's exactly right. It's the best way to put it.
That was truly a hell of an experience.
We need to do it. We need to go down there. It's only a couple weeks away. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What's the other plugs? What business we got to do?
Well, this is NHRA's 75th anniversary, which is pretty cool. They got really cool trophies this year. I'm actually coming in town on Wednesday. I've got an event for R&L Carriers, who's the sponsor on my car. Super cool company to work for so far.
I love
Awesome
the R&L
people.
Carrier's plug on the. That was the truck that went by him on the interstate leaving the
Yeah.
thing.
Picked up on that too.
And these guys
Pro.
said you weren't that sharp, and
Pro.
I'm starting to think otherwise. Here. I
Fucking
think
pro.
you're connecting the dots pretty well here.
If there was another leather
But no
involved, he would have
bullshit.
lost it.
But no bullshit, it was an R&L truck. It just was ironic that it was an R&L truck, but I was like, I told R&L people, and when we have them in hospitality, it's fun because I'll meet people that started driving trucks 3 months ago for R&L, and there's people that have been there for years with R&L working for the company, and it's just fun. Again, it's fun to hear their stories and talking about it. And I tell them, I'm like, you guys realize that, yeah, you're here this weekend and you're our teammates. I said, you realize when you're driving down the road on Sunday and you're not at the track with us, you're still our teammates. This is still your race team, and when we win, you win. When we lose, it's my fault, but when
we all
when
lose,
I win,
so.
we win. We all win. So it's that part of it is truly fun. But I got an event with them on Wednesday. I actually sponsor a couple of the PBA Pro Bowlers, and Sean Rash lives fairly close to Joliet in like 30 minutes, and we go to a bowling center and take out both of our
Nice.
TSR teams, and now we're going to take the R&L team with us and have a great night at a bowling center on Thursday night, and we'll start running race cars on Friday.
Right on. Well, we'll be there.
Yeah, this was an awesome one.
Yeah,
I'm going to
definitely.
put this one on. This one's on the top.
You say that to all your...
No, I don't. We say there's a lot of good ones, but
Now, sometimes when they're done, Josh is like, "God, fuck, that was painful."
if you don't tell it to their
If you'd have
face,
given
I
me
learned
the-
from it. You just don't say it to their
If
face.
you'd have
so.
just given me the tequila I really, truly wanted, this would have went
It would
in
have
many different directions.
off the rails.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Off the rails.
Off the rails.
Then they would have
straight to
edited.
the
She said
junkyard.
no tequila.
Yeah,
She said
the
no
I
tequila.
feel like the PR team would have reached out, and this thing would have been a
Hey, I'm-
25-minute long.
I know you guys had
Because
fun,
they've
but we
seen
need
the
to
same-
scrub that.
They've seen the same videos you guys have seen. So she knows that this has bad consequences that come with this. So it's good at the house when I can lock the doors and make sure I can't get out.
Of course.
So
This is an amazing time.
It was awesome, man. We really appreciate you coming out. This was a hell of a good time.
no, it's fun.
It was good hanging.
Maybe one day you'll invite me back because I would love to come back.
Oh,
We would love to
anytime
have
you
you
want
back.
to. Anytime. We need to do one Maybe we'll do a off-site one at like
in
Havasu or
Alabama.
something.
We should go to Alabama and go shoe
There's
shopping.
a couple
one
of places
night.
we all know of that we should
and I'll tell you
go
what,
shop for shoes while we're on the road.
We're joking about that, but that would be
Lap 5, by the way,
that
for
would be
those
a
keeping score
great-
at home. Lap 5.
That
do
would be
a-
a great place to do a live podcast from.
Talladega.
No, any
Alabama.
of the
Infield.
well, that would be fun.
Yeah, it would be.
but
It would be suicide
any of these,
for me,
Any
but-
of these shoe shopping type of locations.
Oh, those places.
Yeah, I'm sure we could reach out. We got some connections.
So
Yeah.
here's a little
Shoe shopping.
useless trivia bit for you. My wife, we talked about how much of a badass my wife is. She literally, when she was trying to become a professional in drag racing, one of the steps was driving a nostalgia funny car. And it hinged on having the sponsorship to do it. And I don't know if most people know this, but I feel like it's a really cool story that shows perseverance and dedication and hard work. She literally was back in the days of Yellow Pages still, she was thumbing through a local Yellow Pages trying to get last minute sponsorship, and literally made a cold call to a shoe shop
Oh yes.
and landed it for the
Really?
event.
I mean, they'll spend some money.
Is there
You-
pictures of that car?
I guarantee she has them. Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
And that not only went successful, I think I may be wrong on this part of the story. I think she won the event, and it went so well that she ended up getting that sponsor for the season.
Really?
Because there were other shoe shops across the country, and they signed up for the entire season, and I think she ended up winning the championship as well.
might be a decent podcast sponsorship, right? If
It'd
anybody
be
wanted
great.
to,
It'd be great.
Any reputable
she's cringing
podcast
over here. She is cringing. Yeah, we better wrap this up.
Listen, if you think this is the only PR person I've had that's cringed in your
she's
life,
like-
the sad thing is, mindset-wise, we have a very similar mindset, which is also equally as scary. But she does have the professional voice of reason and responsibility that I sometimes refuse
That's what
to
Phil's
accept.
here for too.
Yeah.
I see it. I can tell. You can tell when you walk in the room who's the responsible
Exactly.
one.
Yeah.
Who's the one that plays in the middle of the
who's
field?
the dumbass?
Who's the wild?
Like,
the wild card?
No problem.
yeah,
no problem.
absolutely.
Not the first time I've heard it. Absolutely fucking amazing. Blown away. You never know what you're going to get with this stuff, and we've more often than not been absolutely blown away, and you're no exception. So
I appreciate that. It was a lot
it's,
of fun.
thanks, man.
I didn't know what I was getting into today, and they said told me what our last stop was, and they said, I think you're really going to enjoy it. So they definitely did not oversell it in any way, shape, or
I
fashion.
hope you had a little bit of fun, but we appreciate
Absolutely.
it, man.
My pleasure.
We'll see you again next week.